rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Jeff Pishney with Love Modesto. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, right before I share my invocation, I just want to give you a quick update on Love Modesto. Right over 2 weeks away, April 24th is our next big Love Modesto Day. We've got over 50 projects, all COVID safety protocol in place, planned, no big rally downtown, but that's going to be a day we'll have thousands of people in our city helping thousands of people. And so super excited. I want to invite you all, of course, if you haven't signed up yet, please do, as well as inviting your families, your friends, your coworkers, and let's be a part of a great day of Love Modesto. We're also planning another date this year, October 9th, because we're not having that big rally, so we're having 2 dates this year to love on our city. Of course, the goal isn't just to love on city for the day. To love on city, it's year-round. I mean, this is the whole point, is to be a catalyst for ongoing continual love and pride in our community. Another quick update, Love Modesto now is Love Stanislaus County. We're still Love Modesto for the event, but we're helping all the other cities in our county as well. And but this is our home. Modesto's our home. Actually, we're moving here in 2 weeks. Our office is more to the middle of downtown, so we're committed to this town, more than ever. Also, we started a new organization called Love Our Cities, which is helping over 100 cities around the country now. So, and our goal is to help over 1,000 cities in the next 10 years. So all this started right here in Modesto. Let me pray. God, thank you so much for our city. We love the city. That's why we're here. And we want to see the best for our city. And so, God, I thank you that, a number of years ago, we're on so many of these worst cities lists when we Google our name, and now we're on all these good cities lists when we Google our name. And God, I know we still have challenges here, and that's why we're here. We want to address them. We want to help make our city the best it can be. But God, I'm thankful for all the good in our city, all the wonderful people who are collaborating together, working together. God, I pray for my leaders right now who I stand before. God, I thank you for each one of them. And man, the challenges that they have in being in public office, being elected, they have stood up and are serving our city like they are. And so God, I pray for each of them, pray for their families, pray for their employment, their business, or the organization that they lead, those that they're around them. God, I pray that you would bless them and just your favor would be on them and what they do and how they give to our city in that way. And God, I pray that you would give them wisdom beyond themselves and the decisions that they have to make for their individual districts or for their city as a whole. God, you would just give them wisdom that is more than just what they know so that they can best lead our city. And God, I pray for our meeting tonight, for whatever decisions have to be made. God, I pray that you would give each of them the wisdom. And God, I pray that tonight that maybe as much as possible there would be unity in the decisions that are made. And God, when there's not unity, God, that there would for sure be civility among the leaders of our city, modeling before our citizens how we are to act and react to each other. And so, God, I thank you for our city, and I thank you for our leaders. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Sincerely appreciate you. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
Please remember, public comment period is 3 minutes. Thank you.
Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest?
No conflict.
None.
Right. I don't see any. Thank you. So I will report out on closed session. The City Council considered a few items under closed session today. Staff was given direction and no reportable action was taken. Next is acknowledgments and presentations. First one is a presentation from Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors for update related to COVID. Is Supervisor Greywall on the call? I'm looking on the list.
Mayor is not.
Appears that he's not here tonight. We wish him well. A presentation of proclamation declaring April 2021 National Donate Life Month in the City of Modesto. And I will read the proclamation. More than 389 individuals in Stanislaus County are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list, and 22 patients die each day due to the shortage of donated organs. Donor Network West serves as the federally designated organ procurement organization in northern Central California and northern Nevada, and works in close partnership with families, doctors, nurses, and coroners in hospitals to connect donors to recipients. Organ and tissue are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need that save thousands of lives each year. The need for donated organs is especially urgent in Hispanic, African American, and Asian communities. A single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives. Donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of up to 75 others. The spirit of giving and decision to donate are not restricted by age or medical condition. Nearly 14 million Californians have signed up with the state-authorized Donate Life California Registry to ensure their wishes to be organ and tissue donors are honored. California residents can sign up with the Donate Life California Donor Registry when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. Now therefore be it resolved that in recognition of National Donate Life Month, the month of April 2021 is hereby proclaimed National Donate Life Month in the City of Modesto, and in doing so we encourage all Californians to check yes when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID card, or by signing up at www.donornetworkwest.org. We have also an acknowledgement of National Community Development Week. And Jessica, did you have any comments about that?
If you want to read the proclamation, I can just say things afterwards.
Sure, thanks. So we are proclaiming April 5th through 9th, 2021 National Community Development Week. The City of Modesto is committed to the delivery of exceptional public service and building partnerships that promote economic prosperity and engagement with the community. The Community and Economic Development Department has demonstrated this dedication through its commitment to addressing homelessness, active participation with local community groups, and the development of affordable housing and public facilities and infrastructure. The week of April 5th through 9th, 2021 has been designated as National Community Development Week by the National Community Development Association to celebrate the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program, the Home Investment Partnerships, HOME program, and Emergency Solutions Grants, ESG, as well as the additional COVID relief funding through the CARES Act. The CDBG program provides annual funding and flexibility to local communities like the city to provide decent, safe, and affordable housing, a suitable living environment, and economic opportunities to low and moderate income people. The HOME program provides funding to local communities to create decent, safe, affordable housing opportunities for low-income persons. The ESG program provides funding to local communities to address homelessness. Over the past 5 years, our community has received a total of $5,940,624 in CDBG funds, $4,171,750 in home funds, and $833,975,000 in ESG funds. To prevent, respond to, and prepare for the coronavirus, COVID-19, through the CARES Act, the city received $2,385,772 in CDBG CV funds and $3,928,372 in ESG CV funds. Through the use and implementation of the mentioned program funds, the following significant accomplishments have been reported for this past year. In partnership with the Stanislaus Regional Housing Authority, 103 new permanent supportive housing units have been renovated to address homelessness through the Kansas House Project. In partnership with the Center for Human Services, a youth navigation center was funded to serve homeless and displaced young adults. Camp to Home was developed to bring homeless individuals out of the cycle of homelessness through job readiness, case management, job placement, and housing placement. 2,618 low-income individuals were assisted through our partner agencies with CDBG funds to provide a wide range of public services. 1,035 low-income individuals were assisted through our partner agencies with ESG funds to address homelessness. 45 individual businesses were assisted to retain low-income jobs in the city in response to the impacts of COVID-19. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Suze Wallen, Mayor, proclaim the week of April 5 through 9, 2021 as National Community Development Week in the City of Modesto and encourage all citizens to support community development activities this week and throughout the year because our vibrant communities provide the foundation for a high quality of life for our residents.
Thank you, Mayor Zwollen. I just wanted to thank the council for recognizing Community Development Week this week. We are excited with all of the projects that we've worked on in order to increase the quality of life within the city of Modesto, and we're excited for all of our future projects and partnerships moving forward, so thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Are there any, I should have said this with the last one regarding Donate Life. Are there any questions from the council regarding these two? Any comments from the public regarding this item? I see a couple of hands raised, but I have a feeling they're probably for the next item or in the future. Any comments from the council? No comments? All right. We will move on to acknowledgement of, next is miscellaneous legislation and appointments. So I want to consider appointing Anthony Drobnik to the Citizens Housing and Community Development Committee. We don't have a presentation on this. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
All right, motion by Councilmember Knoyer.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Wright. I'll take a vote. Councilman Ricky?
Mayor, I'll do the roll call.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
No worries. Councilmember Escutia Brayton.
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal. Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Zalaki.
Aye.
Knoyer.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Mayor Zwollen.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
Aye.
All right, unanimously. Next one, consider appointing
Sorry,
John.
I was trying to vote. I don't know if you guys heard me. Sorry.
It's all right. Consider appointing John Bergman and Kyle Ford to the Housing and Rehabilitation Loan Committee. Any discussion or a possible motion?
I make the motion to appoint.
Moved by Councilmember Wright,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Escutia Brayton, and like to ask the city clerk for a roll call.
Councilmembers Escutia Brayton.
Aye.
Madrigal.
Aye.
Ricky.
Aye.
Zalaki.
Aye.
Knoyer.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Mayor Zwollen.
Aye. Next one, consider, it passes unanimously, by the way. Consider approving the appointments of Jim Spellman and Guadalupe Rivera as members at large to the Golf Courses Advisory Committee for a 4-year term retroactive to January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2024. Is there any discussion or a possible motion?
Come on, Judy.
Move to approve.
Approved by Councilmember Knoyer. I'll
I'll
second
second.
it.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Knoyer and a second by myself, Mayor Zwollen. And I will ask the city clerk for the roll call.
Councilmembers Escutia Brayton.
Aye.
Madrigal. Councilmember Madrigal.
It seems like he dropped.
Oh, okay. Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Zalaki,
Aye.
Canoyer,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye.
He's back.
Do you have a vote?
Aye, sorry, I disconnected.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right. Consider approving the reappointment of Jim Bishop and the appointment of Emmanuel Becerra to the Tuolumne River Regional Park Citizens Advisory Committee for a 4-year term retroactive to January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2024. Any discussion or possible motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Scudia Brayton,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Ricky. City Clerk to call.
Council members Escusha Brayton,
Aye.
Madrigal,
Aye.
Ricky,
Aye.
Zalaki,
Aye.
Canoyer,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye. Carries unanimously. Next one, consider approving the reappointment of Shane Cooper, Jim McKay, and Steve Hatzagiorgio to the Modesto City County Airport Advisory Committee for an additional 2-year term. Any discussion or possible motion?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Councilmember Wright,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Scudia Brayton, and can we have the clerk read the roll?
Council members Escusha Brayton,
Aye.
Madrigal,
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky,
Aye.
Zalaki,
Aye.
Canoyer,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we're going to the public comment period. This is for anyone that wishes to speak on any item under public comment, and this is for items that are not on our agenda this evening. You have 3 minutes to speak, and we will have a 2.5-minute warning on Zoom and here also, so that we can try to help us all keep to the 3 minutes. We have in-person participants tonight. So first of all, I have Austin Grant. If this is for something not on the agenda?
Yes.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Can everyone hear me?
We can.
Okay. Hello, my name is Austin Grant. As a member of the Modesto Progressive Democratic Club, I'd like to read a statement regarding the Civilian Oversight Review Board for Law Enforcement here in Modesto. Modesto has...
Austin, this is on the agenda tonight. It's one of
Oh.
our agenda items. So if you want to hold it until the actual item comes
Well,
up on the agenda.
Since I'm already here, I'd just like to say it if
Okay.
I
All
just
right. Go right ahead.
like to finish. Modesto citizens have witnessed Modesto police officer misconduct and extreme use of force for years. But most recently, with one of my teammates' brother, Trevor Seaver's murder and the brutal beating of Alonzo Nunez Villanueva, and many others that also look like me. While there is a sigh of relief with the news that ex-officer Lamantia was terminated and will be charged with manslaughter in the death of Trevor Seaver, there is still a lot more work to be done in a system that has established systematic racism and secrecy. While we would like to believe that not all law enforcement officers are bad cops, we clearly recognize that a good cop becomes a bad cop the minute they cover for another cop's misconduct. It is necessary for the community to trust law enforcement in order for officers to do their job effectively, rather than the fear of their life being cut short. Furthermore, many community members have also spoken out at recent city council meetings calling for an increased transparency and review of a police brutality and integrity. Anyone who knows the DA builds their cases and understands that there has to be a very cooperative and intimate relationship between the DA and the police. History has shown that this is not only problematic, but a conflict of interest. It's very hard to expect the DA to work with officers one day, then turn around and charge officers with a crime the next. This is demonstrated in the case of ex-officer Lamantia being charged with manslaughter, with his actions clearly constituted first-degree or second-degree murder. The Modesto Progressive Club demands that you establish a civilian review board for Modesto Police Department. This is the most effective way to remedy the lack of trust we are faced with and to prevent further damage from occurring. This should not only be supported by every city council member, but the mayor as well. But it should also be embraced by law enforcement. Many communities across the country have successfully integrated review boards of their law enforcement, and almost all of them have
30
found
seconds.
have found the integration between community and law enforcement to be advantageous in many ways. There is no reason to delay within a year if the Stanislaus County Chapter, ACLU, the NAACP, and Faith in the Valley's efforts in establishing the Civilian Review Board, they have developed a template that we would like to work well in our community. We support their model and ask that you work with them in order to begin development on this immediately. As a police officer, it is to be a public servant with honor. And we must abide by that in this city if we want to expand and actually become a better city as far as individuals and also citizens. Thank you for your time, and sorry I went over.
That's all right, thank you. All right, is there anyone else? I see some hands raised here, and I'm not sure if they are regarding items. This is for items not on the agenda. Henario? There's just one name there.
For not on the agenda.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name is Janelle Frieda. I'm a manager at MyTV26. I had a couple questions about our defunding of the public access station and how we can get funding back to the MyTV26. How we can get funding back. In our times right now, everything we're going through, I understand that our platform could be a powerful platform to reach the public. And I'm wondering why the city council and the city of Modesto is not using this platform to reach the public and to let everyone know where to get help from, like food, where to get vaccines from the clinics. We would like to offer our services and see if we can get more use out of the city's public access station. I know I spoke to a gentleman not too long ago from the city that didn't even know we still had a public access station. So I definitely just want to make that announcement that we still have one. That's MyTV26. It's 26 on Comcast. And we also stream online at mytv26.tv. Again, that's mytv26.tv. So I'm just wondering what happened to the funding, why we was defunded, and how can we turn that around to make it possible for MyTV26 to help the community and be more a part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. We will take your comments into consideration, and if we are given a way to reach you, we will reach out. Next, I see M. Boone.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. My name is M. Boone, and I am also calling on behalf of the police violence occurring in Modesto, among most places. Trevor Seaver was murdered by police once police were supposed to be conducting a wellness check. There is footage if you feel obliged to need a visual to actually comprehend what had happened, if listening to family members isn't enough proof for you. I agree with the former statement that the allocation of funds need to be reevaluated and redistributed into community services, such as mental and general wellness services, committees oversight on laws and regulations, more specifically law enforcement. I also demand that funds are allocated into youth development programs, low-class equity, and my heart goes out to Trevor Seaver, his family, his teammates, his community, and the officers must be reprimanded for their violence against the Modesto community. This needs to be tried and handled appropriately, and I hope to see that the Modesto community acts actually in the community's best interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Colbert.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, yes, my name is Chris Colbert. I'm also calling, much like the two of the other persons spoke in terms of the police violence happening in Modesto, and, you know, with some of the same calls to action in terms of what needs to be done. But just to take it another step further, you know, the officer LaMantia, though he has been fired, the charges need to be brought against LaMantia for first-degree murder. You know, we're talking about an officer who has murdered or at least killed, you know, if we want to go by the legal definition here, but has killed multiple people in the past. Francisco Moran back in 2010, Garrett Schmidt, Omar Villagomez, Kim Jackson back in 2016. And if memory serves me correctly, I believe the DA is actually being sued or being taken to court over that case in terms of falsifying evidence on behalf of LaMantia. So it's, you know, it seems like there is a whole system that is supporting this kind of action, and something needs to be done about it. And, you know, this officer, you know, has been able to continue to terrorize, and, you know, now needs to actually stand trial for those actions. But also beyond him, you know, back on February 10th, MPD officers brutally beat Alonzo Nunez. And honestly, it's, you know, it's a pattern beyond just LaMantia, and so it's something that needs to be addressed. These review boards, also, you know, the reallocation of funds to doing wellness checks, or you know, putting some money in the resources that allow for wellness checks that won't end in violence. So anything that can be done needs to be done, and it's something that needs to take place sooner than later. And more than Modesto is watching this. You know, we have people in New York and Houston and other areas that are watching this case and watching how you know, the city takes this seriously. So I appreciate you allowing me to speak, you know, during this time, and I hope to see some change soon.
Thank you. Kyle Seaver.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, Kyle, we're not able to hear you. Kyle, we're unable to hear you, Kyle.
Steve's brother. I was calling. Can you hear me?
That sounded clear, but that's the first time it sounded clear. Are you there, Kyle? No, it's still such that we can't hear or understand. Can we come back to him in just a, we'll come back to you in just a few minutes. How about Nico S?
Hello, my name's Nico, and I'm just calling in support of the Citizens Review Board. And I also am calling on a concern. I live over by the La Loma area off of nearby Brookway Park, which is North Morton Boulevard. There's a really small park here. And I have a concern because just recently they put up a Modesto police camera at that park, and the crime rate in that area is, I mean, from what I can tell, is very low. And my main concern is that there are actually 2 known employees of the police department that live catty corner in that area of where the camera is. And I'm pretty much asking if that's kind of like a free surveillance on their homes, because up the street where I lived, all of my neighbors' houses have been broken into, cars have been broken into, there's police reports on it, and we don't get anything like that. So I was trying to figure out why it seems like they're getting special treatment and why they're getting a surveillance camera near their homes. And so that was my main concern, and that's another, waste of our tax dollars. And yeah, that's just my comment. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Kyle Seaver, should we try again? Here we go.
Hello, could you hear me this time?
Yes, yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So I was just calling. We do need justice for Alonzo Nunez. I believe intern Chief Gillespie came out and said that the force and actions used behind Alonzo, as far as using closed fist punches, are ineffective in him coming out and admitting they're wrong, but there has been no punishment to our knowledge. So we do need some accountability for that. I'm also re-emphasizing the fact that we're asking intern Chief of Police Brandon Gillespie to step down from his position due to his slander of Trevor Sieber after he is brutally murdered. I'm also asking if the city could set up a notification system that could help communicate and relay major incidents to the community regarding Modesto Police Department. I'm also asking if there could be a drug and alcohol screening after any officer in Modesto Police Department discharges his weapon. I truly appreciate everybody that's supported my family and I. Trevor's 30th birthday is April 24th.
We're unable to hear you again, Kyle.
We're going to be holding a candlelight vigil. I hope I see everybody from City Council there. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Anderson?
Oh, yes. So I'm Richard Anderson, and I live at 916 Melinda Lane in Modesto. I'm speaking today in favor of the City Council using some of this $47.3 million to support public access TV, like Gennaro was mentioning, MyTV 26, and other media. Chris Ritchie, in a letter to the city manager, Joe Lopez, suggested we vigorously use public media to portray the many city and community programs that would be good to showcase Modesto as a community of great and safe neighborhoods. Like what the preacher said, like Love Modesto. We need to have teams out there recording all these different wonderful things that are going on. Now, I lived in Columbia during the 80s, and Sonora had a dandy public access TV, and it was supported by the city. I moved down here to work at MJC. Cable One, Modesto's cable monopoly, had a dandy studio inside of it with lots of public participation. Funding was supplied by Cable One. Comcast now holds that monopoly, and MyTV 26 gets no city economic support. Public access is still thriving in Sacramento, Tuolumne County, and Fresno, and we need it here. I hate to be outdone by Tuolumne County, my gosh. Back when Ed Bearden was the Modesto's poet laureate, he and I taped 45 local poets that we showed on MyTV 26. What a great little series. Let's do more of that kind of thing, sponsored by the city. Currently, we have very little Modesto City effort to use its available media outlets, and there are 3, to showcase the good things that are going on in our city. Very few of us even know that Channel 26 is still on and also streams worldwide on the internet. Now, there are 3 Comcast channels going out from the basement of the SCOE building. PEG, P, E, and G channels. The P for public is MyTV 26, and it's going. The E for educational is reserved for the SCOE and offers very little programming, and that could be a good thing to foster. The G for
30 seconds.
Is what Final Cut Media uses to transmit these city council and supervisors meetings, which are required by law to happen. That's good, but there could be so much more during the downtime. There is so much good news and programming that these 3 channels could be broadcasting that depicts Modesto as the vital and positive town that we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Ravante Robinson.
Good evening, City Council. So I first wanted to start off by saying the audio on the Zoom is actually pretty low. Like I have it all the way up and I have to hold the phone to my face to hear everything. I also wanted to say Justice Trevor Seaver and Alonso Nunez. The new police chief, he actually made a great step in the right direction by firing La Mancia. But I mean, we all know more work needs to be done before you end up with another La Mancia on the force. And I mean, if someone else did what he did to Trevor, then would that be manslaughter or would it be murder? I'm sure it would be murder if it was a citizen doing it to someone else. You know, so La Mancia, he's killed multiple people. He's basically a serial killer, and he was working for Modesto competing for years. So I think that they definitely need to change hiring practices. And I also wanted to say, last thing is that I agree with what Kyle said earlier, that there should be drug and alcohol screening after use of force incidents with police, because y'all may not know it or not, but well, it's not common knowledge, but a lot of cops do cocaine. So you'd be surprised if you tested the force right now. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ramon Rodriguez.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Well, the Modesto Police Department did the right step in firing Joseph LaMantia and providing closure for the family of Trevor Seaver, but there's still more work to be done. Alonso Nunez has been a victim of police. Yet he suffered serious injuries as a result of 3 Modesto police officers beating him like a rag doll and a piñata. And I'm also demanding the police department discipline these officers and demanding the DA do prosecute and charge the officers for assault, for mayhem, and for other crimes that is almost attempted murder. And also, we need to start rethinking on a budgeting, because I went to Davis Park last time. The park was not good. That fund from the police department should go to Parks and Recreation just to make improvements as well as public service, because I agree with other callers that we do need to reallocate funds to improve services so that we don't need more money going to police, but we have more money to go to public service. And also, we demand more accountability on police officers using force, because still, this is 2021 and it should not be happening ever again in the wake of George Floyd, Trevor Seaver, and countless lives lost in police brutality. And thank you.
You're welcome. Darlene Ruiz.
Hello.
Hi there.
Thank you, Mayor Suzalan and City Council. This is Darlene Ruiz, Trevor Seaver's mom. Tomorrow will be 100 days that we lost Trevor. First, I'd like to thank you for taking my call. I'd also like to thank you for listening to myself, family, friends, and supporters every week asking for justice for Trevor and the firing or prosecution of Joseph LaMattia. We are asking City Council to enforce the maximum sentence to voluntary manslaughter with no chance of a reduced sentence. As we have said before, had the Modesto Department reprehended Joseph LaMattia's misconduct and trigger-happy shooting, Trevor would still be here with us. There needs to be accountability for the innocent life of my son that we've lost from the hands of the Modesto peace officer. We'd like to implement an independent civilian review board with subpoena power, that all police be drug and alcohol tested when they fire a weapon, and require to see a mental health professional when an officer kills a civilian, justified or unjustified. That the City Council implement mental health crisis teams such as Cahoots, implement the Miles Hall Law, which is AB 988 crisis hotline for mental wellness checks. Instead of calling 911 and getting an untrained mental health police officer with a gun, you can call 988 and you'll be calling a professional mental health officer that is trained to de-escalate mental health calls. I appreciate the support that City Council has shown my family since the firing of Joseph LaMattia. I appreciate David, Jenny, and Chris for coming to our Solidarity Barbecue and supporting justice for Trevor. I also would like to extend my appreciation to Rosa for honoring Trevor at a mass at her church. And one other person I'd like to acknowledge is Mayor Sue for showing my two children so much love and compassion through all this. I really appreciate your kind heart. I know this is just the beginning of a long fight for change in this city. I'm in it for the long run to honor Trevor every day that I'm alive. I'd like to create change and save lives in our community. We'll be starting a Trevor Seaver Foundation to implement all these ideas and help our city be a safer place for all of us. We'll continue to stand together for justice and solidarity. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Are there any more comments regarding items that are not on the council agenda? I see Stephen Allen.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. I would just like to extend my gratitude to council members Ricky, Canoyer, and Wright for showing up at the Solidarity Barbecue that was held recently in town. I also just kind of wanted to just remind everyone of what the emphasis needs to be throughout all of the discussions related to corruption and violence in our city leadership and police department, as well as throughout the county. I really did appreciate having you guys come out to the barbecue, but I'm not sure if any of you stuck around long enough to hear the testimonies from the various families that showed up to tell their stories about what has been done to their loved ones by corrupt police in other towns. I'm not going to assume that that you didn't have a good reason. I just wanted to point out that if you'd stuck around, you would have heard tales of human lives, human misery, and a lot of human love that's going into trying to make things different. Those people are not political footballs. Let me be 100% perfectly clear. A lot of times people want to treat it like that, and they're not. They're human beings. So just be mindful of that, because when I hear you say things like, oh, I'm not here to talk about politics, it just kind of makes it really hard for me to take you seriously as a leader of a community full of human lives, okay? Also, just kind of touching on that, indeed, as others have mentioned, it does seem like everybody is very eager to forget all about the beatdown that Alonzo Nunez received from our very own Modesto Police Department. This is a trend, beyond a trend. This is not isolated incidences. And when I see that it takes so long for our DA to finally charge Officer Lamontia with a crime that is obviously way less than the crime that we all have watched him commit. It's on video. It's very disheartening to see that people think that is accountability. So as we move forward and discuss how we can change things, let's remember that Birgit Flanagan is a career criminal, no matter how anyone wants to spin it. Police Chief Gillespie has told blatant lies to the public. He is not just
30
there-
seconds.
Yeah, thank you. He's not just there to do his job heading the police department. He's also there to spin lies. Then that just should not be his job. So as we move forward, I hope that you guys will find brand new people. I don't want those people having authority and control over my safety. And lastly, I don't know if you guys have some reason for being such sticklers about the time limit that I'm unaware of, but we all have to sit through long, boring, like ridiculous presentations. I think it just makes y'all look petty, like really petty. We're talking about corruption in the police department, and on the county level, we have a DA that seems to be totally in cahoots with murderous serial killers. So let's just all bear in mind as we move forward the importance of human lives over entrenched political just clubs, apparently. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else speaking that would like to speak on something? All right, step forward.
Good evening.
Hi there.
Card. I'd like to ask something of you guys with listening to all this tonight. Number one, we're only a small city. One of our presidents got rid of something that we definitely need in this state, in every state in the United States, and that is our state hospitals. We need them back tremendously. Number one, you guys may all say we've got bad cops. We've got some real good cops, but sure, they're human beings, and we've got some bad ones too, just like we have everything else. But still in all, anyone on any kind of narcotic is going to need a doctor, and we need a state hospital. I proved this with my own illness one time. Did we ever get it? No, we got rid of our state hospitals. But yes, medicine does do some of it, but also does some of this crazy stuff that some of us take we should not. But please, quit downing all of our cops.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward to speak under public comment? Or online? I see Bianca Lopez.
Hi, good evening, thank you. I just wanted to, I will speak about our policing and the community input policing at the agenda item at the end. Is that correct? Will we be able to speak for public comments at that point?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I want to just thank all of the city council for letting us know that you are listening. You know, Justice for Trevor has been something that has made the community stronger. Unfortunately, you know, we come together in a time of crisis, and we have shown that when we put our forces together, our energy and our efforts to something that we all agree on, that we can make a change. And you have shown us that you are, or that you have been listening, and I'm listening to all the other public comments regarding public access TV, and I think, you know, that's just an example of how appreciative we are and that we understand that there is new blood in the city council and that you are looking towards improving and moving forward. I look forward to coming back to city council meetings to make proposals, not just about police issues in our community, but about zero waste and moving towards a just transition in Stanislaus County. We burn our trash. Modesto is the highest populated city in the county, and we do not have curbside recycling. I also understand that not all plastic is recyclable, and so we need to make sure that we do what we can so that we can stop burning our waste at Covanta, and then also making sure that we reduce our plastic use in the city. And those are just kind of the examples. I'm looking forward to the city planting more trees, just a lot of things. I think a lot of us are very excited about the new city council, and I just want to say I'm very appreciative of you, and I am glad that you are listening to us. I will save my comments about policing at a later time on the agenda. And justice for Trevor, say his name. Trevor Seaver. Justice for Alonso, say his name. Alonso Nunez. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Tupac Amari 3.
Hi, so I just wanted to talk about supporting Trevor Seaver, but as I overheard the last statement that it's going to be time for police reform, I guess, statements at the end. But I also want to acknowledge that that the structure for police is, I think, an outdated system. That's a lot of tactics and a lot of reforms are kind of don't prove value, like adding cameras and stuff like that, increasing funds or training. But I know that that's the first step, so I want to push towards reform that will lead to abolition and creating new and have redefining safety for everybody, not just certain people. So that's my comment, and so again, I want to reiterate the last person's comments, justice for Trevor Seaver and justice for Los Nunes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Is that it? Looks like we've heard from everyone that's wanted to speak about something not on the agenda. So we'll go forward with the remaining agenda. Will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Item number 9, consider approving the minutes from the March 9th, 2021 council meeting. Item number 10, consider recognizing Dale Butler for his service on the Latino Emergency Council. Item number 11, consider approving a Community Development Block Grant CARES Act grant to Stanislaus County Affordable Housing Corporation in an amount not to exceed $450,000 and $25,000 in activity delivery costs for the acquisition of the property located at 835 California Avenue. Item 12, consider accepting an informational report for the February 2021 Accounts Payable Payment Register and Void Report. Item 13, consider accepting an informational report on the January and February 2021 grant applications and awards. Item 14, consider approving the award of bids for 4 city fleet replacements for public works in the amount of $273,895. Item number 15, consider rejecting all bids for request for bid for 2 trailer mounted air compressors. Item number 16, consider approving a purchasing agreement with Iteris by utilizing the competitively bid process with the County of Sacramento for video detection cameras for an estimated cost of $2,500,000 for the first 2 years. Item 17, consider approving a second 1-year extension option for the purchasing agreements for hot patch work with United Pavement Maintenance and Patch Crew in a combined amount not exceeding the annual cost of $4,306,500. Item 18, consider rejecting all bids received for requests for bid for on-call vegetation management services. Item 19, consider approving the submission of the city's local transportation funds fiscal year 2020-2021 claim for non-motorized purposes, bike lanes and pedestrian pathways in the amount of $189,759 to the Stanislaus Council of Governments. Item 20, consider approving the submission of grant applications for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Park and Mancini Park to the California Department of Parks and Recreation for the statewide park development and community revitalization program for up to $8.5 million for each site. Item 21, consider approving a list of projects to be funded with the Road Repair and Accountability Act tax proceeds in fiscal year 2021-2022. Item 22, consider approving the application for and acceptance of a Federal Aviation Administration grant in an amount estimated to be $339,000 to reimburse the Modesto City County Airport for the acquisition of the 2847 River Road property. Item 23, consider approving the First Amendment to the Joint Powers Agency Agreement for the Stanislaus Regional Transit Authority and approve the appointment of the City of Riverbank Mayor Richard O'Brien to the Stanislaus Regional Transit Authority Board of Directors. Item 24, consider accepting the grant award for Federal Transit Administration Section 5339 funds in the amount of $2,006,514 and congestion mitigation and air quality funds in the amount of $1,200,000. Item 25, consider rejecting all bids received for request for bid for the printing of the Modesto Area Express Ride Guide. Item 26, consider approving a second amendment increasing the agreement amount with Willdan Incorporated by $50,000 from $205,000 to a new total amount of $255,000.
Move to approve all consent items.
A second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Canoyer and a second by Councilmember Wright.
Councilmembers Escutia Brayton. Aye. Madrigal.
Aye.
Ricky.
Aye.
Zalaki.
Aye.
Canoyer.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye. Carries unanimously. Next is council comments and reports. And before asking for any council members, if they have any comments or reports, I don't usually make a report, but we have in our presence Dale Butler, who was number 10 on the consent item, recognizing Dale Butler for his service on the Latino Emergency Council. He served, I saw him week after week, month after month. I was at meetings and he provided a great service. And throughout COVID-19, I noticed that he was posting constantly where the immunization sites were so that members of our community that are Latino and others that he has such an influence with were able to be aware of vaccines. And that's just one of the many, many things that Dale has done throughout his lifetime. And I'm so grateful that you're here and you're doing so well. Thank you for being here. Do any other council members have any comments or reports?
Can I just add something real quick, Madam Mayor, to Dale Butler?
Sure.
Dale, sorry I can't be there, but just taking precautions. I want to thank you so much for your service. You were thinking about our community and especially our Latino community being prepared for emergencies before there was emergencies to prepare for. And you're having the foresight, the leadership, the vision, to use, I'm going to say, your local respected status is I consider you one of our local Latino elder statesmen, if you will, who has been here for a long time, respected, known, and if Dale Butler convenes a meeting about something is probably important, we should all do our darndest to show up. And you continue to do it throughout the pandemic, leading the what's called the Latino Emergency Council COVID calls every week. So thank you for your leadership. Muchas gracias, gracias, gracias. I think our local Latino community will probably not have been as informed as quickly had you not rounded us up and kept us on task the way you do. So thank you so much. I know that all that you've done not only benefits the Latino community, but the greater community. And we're lucky to have you. So muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Mayor, I would like to make a comment.
Sure, go right ahead, Jenny.
All I can say is that I've known you for a lot of years, Dale. You are a remarkable person. You have given so much to not just to Latino, but to our community. I have really enjoyed being with you on the Latino Emergency Council, and I miss it. I know they're gonna miss you. I know you're gonna retire. You know, we all reach an age when we say, yeah, it's time. But I don't think anybody will ever replace you. And all I can say is I've really, really learned so much from you and have enjoyed the time that I've had to spend with you, and feel kind of sad that I'm not going to be spending time with you every Friday when we get off of this COVID. So good luck and enjoy yourself and your family.
Well, let me just say, Mr. Madrigal, Councilman Madrigal, thank you very much for those nice words. And of course, same thing with Councilwoman Canoyer. She's really like the ambassador to the Latino Emergency Council. I've been on that council now for 15 years, and I was one of the original founders of the organization, along with David Jones, who works for the county, and Jose Rodriguez, who's the executive director of El Concilio. And we had our first meeting like 15 years ago, 2005. And we've been going at it, ever since. And Ms. Tenoyer has been just an invaluable, member to our organization. And she is considered an ambassador. And I really appreciate you, Ms. Tenoyer, for all you've done. The same thing with Mr. Madrigal. This past year with COVID-19, I have facilitated approximately 44 meetings, community meetings, as part of our LEC COVID-19 team. And all these meetings have been basically focused on messaging COVID in the Latino community. We meet on a bi-weekly basis. Mr. Madrigal, representing the City of Modesto, has been wonderful in bringing information to us that we in turn can share with the Latino community. So to the two of you, I certainly want to thank you, from the bottom of my heart for all you've done. And I thank you too, Mayor and City Council members, the rest of you, for considering me for recognition tonight for the work I have done with the Latino Emergency Council. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale, once again. Are there any other council members that have any comments or reports?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. Yesterday, my father turned 93 years old. We moved here in 1971. Dad was pastor at Calvary Temple, which is now the house, for 24 years. And after retiring, they still made their home here in Modesto. And I just wanted to reach out to him and tell him happy birthday. And I'm going to have to pull this up on some computer that he doesn't have so he can watch this and know that I better shout out to him. So he's a great inspiring man that's really touched my life and really taught me how to love people. And I think one of my dad's strongest attributes is loving people and treating people the way that he would want to be treated and stuff. So just happy birthday, Dad.
Thank you so much.
Pastor Wright, he's also my neighbor and has lived there as long as I lived in my house, in my home. Let me turn this on, try it again. Happy birthday, Pastor Wright, who's also my neighbor. And he has lived in his home longer than I have in mine, and he is a wonderful, wonderful, sweet person, just as Councilmember Wright mentioned. He is truly a gift to our neighborhood and a gift to the City of Modesto, where he served for many years at Calvary. So happy birthday.
Great. I also see Councilmember Ricky with your hand up.
Sorry, having trouble with my window there. All right, I got it. Well, thanks for having me. It's been a while here since we've been out at council, so it's great to be back. It's great to see everybody out kind of halfway open again. It's feeling pretty good. But tonight I want to talk about just a few issues that I'm working on, just so everyone knows what's going on, because this is a great opportunity to do that. First of all, I want to talk about our forestry department and, you know, the possibility of refunding that over this year. Our forestry department was defunded during the Great Recession, so I'm just really looking forward to getting this council together and finding some mechanisms to ensure that, you know, we have a healthy urban forest. It's important that our community, you know, creates an environment when it comes to urban forests that our children deserve. So super excited about working on that. I also just wanted to let everyone know that I'm trying to work to put together a civic bank here at 10th Street Place. I'll be talking to the JPA committee about it in June, so if you want to come and check that out, that'd be awesome. The intent of a civic bank, from my perspective from Modesto, is that we've got a lot of people in our community that just aren't financially literate. They spend a ton of money on things like check cashing fees and stuff like that, and I think we can partner up with some local banks to create a bank that can do these things without these huge fees and teach people how to manage their money more effectively. I'm also excited to talk about kind of this first tier homeless housing project that I'm working on with the Shares Group. What we're trying to do is bring like the pallet style shelters to Modesto. We're trying to create a deal that will help homeless people, but also be sustainable over the long term. So I'm excited about that. I also want to talk a little bit about Comcast. I'm getting a lot of complaints about Comcast, which is also known as Xfinity here, internet service in my district. So if you're a Modestan that's having trouble with your internet, or your Comcast or Xfinity internet specifically, just email me at cricky, that's CRICCI at modestogov.com. I'll add your name to our service list. I don't need your address or anything, just name and like an intersection, and that's what I'll give them, okay? Finally, I just wanted to take a minute to remember Sylvia Cisneros Thompson. I met her when I first started banking here at Modesto at Stockton Savings in 1999. We did business together as it changed hands. It went to Guarantee Bank and then to BBVA Compass, and soon it's going to be Paribas. But she passed to COVID, you know, a couple weeks ago. She's not much older than me. Just really, really sad. So vaccines are open. Please get your vaccine. All these senseless deaths can stop. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Knoyer?
Yes, I have one more comment to make. As people know, we had the Modesto Marathon virtually this year, and I found that I needed to get myself out, and I did the 5K virtually. Well, no, I actually ran it. No, that's not true. I walked at a good clip, and so I didn't run it, but I did do it, and I did it on my Fitbit, so I had it the time right, the 3.1 miles. I did it in, I like to say 78 minutes, because that sounds better than 1 minute and 18 seconds. So anyway, I want to let everybody know that hopefully next year the marathon will be back, so we can really do it, because it's a great marathon, and they actually can qualify for the Boston when it's run perfect. So I just wanted to comment on that, and congratulations, Pastor Wright, on getting 93. You know, we all wish we can reach that age with a good brain.
Thank you. Any other council members have comments or reports? All right, none at this time. So we'll move on to...
Yeah.
Oh, sorry? Tony?
Sorry, I thought I had my hand up, Mayor.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see it if you did.
No, I guess I didn't. I thought I had pushed it. Just real quick, just wanted to say that I'm pleased to hear.
We can't hear you, Tony.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I was just saying I'm pleased to hear some of the community members speak tonight in support of the public access television, the Miami TV Channel 26. I'd like to hear back from city staff at the next council meeting if possible on the status of city funding for my TV, for the public access channel. And also just want to express my support for Councilmember Chris Ritchie's efforts for a civic bank and the homeless solution that he's also pursuing. The innovative, creative ideas. I just think there's no such thing as as getting too creative when it comes to trying to solve our city's problems. And I had one more issue and I forgot it, so it happens to me. All right, thanks everybody.
All right, you're welcome. So we will move on to item 27, consider an informational update to provide Spanish translation services at city council meetings. City Manager Lopez.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Scotty to provide the council an update on the things that we've been working on to provide translation services.
Thank you, Joe, and City Manager Lopez, and Mayor and council members. Thank you so much. It's Scotty Douglas, Deputy City Manager, and I'm overseeing the multilingual plan, and I'm providing an update. So, just to give a little bit of background, February 23rd, Council did request Spanish translation services for council meetings. And at the following meeting on March 2nd, City Manager Lopez provided an update to the council regarding our commitment to a multilingual plan that aligns with the city's 5-year strategic plan. And on March 17th, I wanted to just let all of you know that we've realized and discovered that the County of Stanislaus is also pursuing something that's similar, starting with closed captioning in alignment with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so that's pretty exciting. So what we've done is we've joined them, and we now have a task force that's pursuing this together because we have the chambers together. We felt like it was important to coordinate with them and that services were provided uniformly across the community. So this graphic here, I'm not going to go into extreme detail. However, these are just the high-level components that all need to work together. You have closed captioning, you have live stream, we have broadcasts on the TV, we have interactions with council, and it's important that we have all of these things tied in together. And I'm going to go over a couple of those steps as our next steps. So staff's done a lot of research and analysis. We've talked with and we've researched other communities with their closed captioning for ADA in English and also for translation services. As I mentioned, live stream, so that's YouTube, Facebook Live, other live stream methods. So we have also recorded replay files. So I'm going to give an update on that in just a moment. And this is with YouTube, our live broadcast over the television. We need to make sure that things are compatible. We are also looking into live translation in the chambers. I think that there's some possibility of doing that a little bit farther down the road because that does require a lot more coordination and planning. And as I'd mentioned before, there's multiple layers that are involved with this. There's no single solution. It's not as easy as just flipping a switch, unfortunately. I'm learning a lot about the back room. This is where all of the technology happens. I mean, it's, Edgar and I were out here facilitating Zoom, but there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. We're also looking at our multilingual policies and solutions from other jurisdictions so that we can actually create and implement and have adopted a multilingual policy by the council. And conducting community engagement, we're performing outreach to determine what the needs of the community are. So the high level of the project scope, there's kind of 4 different areas that we're looking at right now. One is enhanced streaming of city council meetings. So I'm actually really excited tonight it's not an official launch, but we're doing a preliminary test of YouTube. So we are streaming out over YouTube right now, and our staff is making sure that that's working properly. And with that, the next step for YouTube is us being able to have files that are saved on YouTube, similar to what you can find on our website that will be available in the future. And the great thing is when you upload those files to YouTube, they will provide the closed captioning and they will put the translation on that. However, they don't do that live. They only do it for recordings after the fact. So that's just another element. We're also looking at the translation services for council meetings. So again, we have the replay of the archived videos and the government channel that'll be able to help people to watch us after the fact. Part of the multilingual plan is public meeting translation. So this is for the live stream and for when people are here. And it's not just being able to come and speak and translate for that one individual or for that individual transaction. It's being able to provide the community with information in real time in the language that they need to either read it or hear it. And then we're also challenged with a lot of written and virtual media translation. So for example, tonight, the presentation that you see on the screen, this is in one language. So we're looking at the need, obviously, for printed materials such as council agendas and packets and others, as well as our presentations and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into researching those solutions so that we are sure to provide that. But as I mentioned before, there are some next steps. And some of those next steps are YouTube's tonight, like I just said, regarding testing that feed. The archives, those are coming, I believe, probably within weeks. I wouldn't say months. And then the closed caption live broadcast in coordination with the county. We're hoping to have that. It's going to be a little bit for that, but we're hoping within the next couple of months to be able to accomplish that with the county. And we're putting together the first steps towards the multilingual plan so that we have that adopted by council. And with that, I would like to turn that back over to you for any questions I'm here to answer.
Thank you. I see, did Councilmember Madrigal have his hand raised at one point?
No, I just want to thank staff for the report back. I had sent a follow-up memo today requesting just a report back at one of the upcoming standing committee meetings, and just have this be added as one of the things to consider at the Safety and Community Committee meeting, I believe, as it pertains to the American Rescue Plan funding that we'll be receiving from the federal government. Just dialing down to the live in-person translation. Could you repeat? Sorry if I missed it. Could you just repeat, like, what's the expected timeline on translation for the in-person, like, say, the public comment folks that come and request translation at the council meetings, or like, say, if they come up to the microphone and they speak during public comment for something, for example, what are we looking at as far as the timeline to have that happen at our council meetings?
Well, that is already as requested. Ahead of time with the city clerk, that has been a process that's been in place for quite a number of years. As far as having in person, we do have an employee here that can translate. We are looking into a more long-term solution to do that. But again, that's just on an as-needed basis. I think that the challenge that I was speaking to earlier is being able to provide that real-time translation and interpretation so that those that are watching and viewing the meetings would have that.
So if I can just from my understanding, I guess, so at the next council meeting, or even in this council meeting, if somebody comes and speaks during public comment on one of our council agenda items that we have before us today, and they need a translator, there's somebody in the room right now that will come up and translate for them and for us at the council right now?
Yes, we have an associate that works in the city manager's office. It's hosting Zoom and is able to do that tonight if you'd like.
Okay, so and again, apologies if I missed it. Do we announce that as being available in our written council meetings agendas already?
No, excuse me, Councilman Madrigal. So essentially, it has been on an as requested basis. In anticipation to needing to provide this service, we have an employee that does speak Spanish that's hosting Zoom. We are looking into a more permanent solution so that we can ensure that someone will be here. We're also working with HR and trying to put together a list of employees that could be considered to provide that for future meetings so that we can announce that. You should be hearing about that very soon.
Okay, I look forward to it, and I look forward to be able to answer that to like constituents and even like some of the past council meetings that we've had requests from people during public comment saying, why don't you have translation? I look forward to being able to say, yes, we do. We even announced it in our agendas. And so, yes, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing when that happens.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? This is questions time. Councilmember Wright?
Yes, thank you. Scotty, is there somewhere on our website that gives the YouTube address where they can pull it up?
Not yet.
Not
Tonight
yet.
is the testing night, so you should probably see that hopefully within the next week. We're going to review the file tonight just to make sure, tomorrow probably, to make sure that it's working, and then we will have that listed. And then we will ensure that that's also listed on our materials.
Great. And it would, so being on YouTube, somebody can watch it the day after, or it's always going to be on YouTube.
We do have it via our website, so OnBase is our provider that provides that, but it will be both. So we'll have OnBase and or YouTube, you could view that. The difference is with YouTube, once we start storing files there, eventually I believe that there will be real-time translation and closed captioning that will be available there that's not available on our current videos that we have.
My experience, it's easier to find things on YouTube than it is on our website. So that's one reason I asked. I think it took me 2 weeks to figure out how to get onto past council meetings to watch. So that's great to hear. It's going to be on YouTube.
Understood, and the compatibility, I think, is a much broader as well for different devices.
I had to ask one of my 10-year-old granddaughters to show me how to work that. So great. Thank you.
Councilmember Ricky?
First of all, I'm so excited to hear you guys are exploring this stuff. I've been like jumping up and down talking about how we need to broadcast these meetings on Facebook and YouTube, and I'm just on top of the world. Hearing that you guys are exploring this and making this stuff happen. So well done. I love it. And my question for you is, when will we start seeing those broadcasts on like Facebook and Instagram, for example?
I don't have a date for you quite yet on that, but that is another element. So I'm hoping to be able to report on that in the near future.
Fair enough.
All right. Any other questions from council members?
Just one follow-up question, Madam
Sure, yes.
What did you mention that we're considering other languages, or did I just imagine that? And if so, what other languages are we considering?
Well, as far as the YouTube broadcast, the saved files, you'll be able to see it in closed captioning in, I didn't count the languages, but the list is quite long and lengthy. So just like any other YouTube video, you can select in your settings which language that you would like to view the closed captioning on. As far as in-person and the live interaction, these would be in Spanish primarily at first, and we would have to look into the other languages.
Great. Looks like the council members have all asked their questions. We'll go to the public. Daniel Honorado. Do you want to unmute, Daniel?
So you missed what I just said. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
My name is Dan Honorado. I've lived in Modesto since 1969. I'm a retired MJC teacher. But before stating my main points, I wanted to thank you, Mayor Swallen, for your initiative in encouraging the community to be involved, engaged in police review. I'm part of the Modesto Peace Life Center, and that's one of the organizations that shaped the two proposals that all of you on the City Council have received. The first proposal is to initiate a Community Police Review Commission. The other one is to establish an independent auditor of the police department. We believe that together these two proposals would improve transparency and accountability in our city's police department. And they will build on current efforts to improve a healthy relationship of trust and understanding between our community and local law enforcement. In February, the collaborative of organizations that I'm a part of, we organized a town hall Zoom meeting on police oversight, and it was hosted by Modesto editor Brian Clark. It featured 3 national experts on police oversight, along with Wendy Bird, president of the local chapter of the NAACP and spokesperson for our collaborative. A number of you attended that virtual meeting. If some of you have yet to see it, it's really valuable, I think. I learned a great deal about it. If you've yet to see it and others who want to see it, you can Google YouTube Modesto Town Hall Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. Again, I highly recommend that you do that. It gives background on the whole notion from a national point of view of civilian oversight of police. One of the experts was Michael Giannacco. I focus on Mr. Giannacco because he's an independent auditor for at least 3 different cities. So, and I'm urging you to take seriously the importance of the independent auditor in your discussions and your consideration of what kind of program Modesto wants to engage in on civilian oversight. We in this collaborative groups regard the independent auditor as vital to the viability and promise of effective civilian oversight of law enforcement. It's often acknowledged that policing themselves is a conflict, in most cases, a conflict of interest. What's needed is an independent auditor with power to carry out
30 seconds.
Thorough and fair investigations. There are a number of reasons why the independent auditor is important. I will send you all a note just detailing those. But as you learn more about police oversight, I urge you to keep in mind the importance of this position as part of the solution. I think I reflect the conviction of our working committee that an independent auditor is essential to achieving the goals of accountability and transparency, which we all want. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public have any comments regarding this item surrounding Spanish translation services at City Council? I see Bianca Lopez.
Thank you. Yes, I recall making a couple of statements at previous City Council meetings in Spanish, and Tony graciously translated my comments to you all, so I wasn't aware that there was somebody else available to translate. I appreciate that person who is ready and available today. I have a couple of questions for the presentation. It wasn't very clear. I think you call it a 5-year strategic plan or something similar to something about 5 years. Do you plan on having this finalized within 5 years? Because to me, that's a long time, and so maybe some clarification there. This to me means jobs, but you mentioned looking within the City Council and HR to see who's a Spanish speaker. I would assume that you would also check their qualifications to be a live interpreter, because I speak Spanish, but it's very difficult to translate live and on the spot. So I would look for the city to hire somebody who has the ability and the expertise in doing that, instead of just hiring somebody that speaks Spanish. And then my other comment was, shoot, I kind of forgot it. I just want to say thank you for the report, and I look forward to the follow-ups. I too would like to know more of a timeline, and I think I was wondering also, besides the county, who are you consulting with to make these efforts happen? I know that grassroots organizations, I've participated in many meetings, and we have figured out how to translate for hundreds of people who are attending a Zoom conference call. And I know that's not the same for, the various things that the city would have to translate, in writing, and transcribe and interpret live. But if nonprofit grassroots organizations can figure it out within, short time, I think that the city can also do that as well. Thank you for the report, and if you could answer my questions, that would be great.
All right, Scotty, do you have any comments to make regarding
Yes,
that?
I do. And Ms. Bianca Lopez, I'm really excited that you're on tonight, that you made those comments. And I'm going to put this all out there for everybody to write down if you'd like. So please send me an email, sdouglas, so it's SDOUGLASS, so that's 2 S's on Douglas, at modestogov.com. I know that you have provided some information at prior council meetings, and I would really enjoy getting in touch with you so that we can talk about some of these. I did take some notes. The 5-year strategic plan, that's the city's strategic plan that's for citywide, so it doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to take 5 years. It just means that for all of the initiatives for the next 5 years, like blight, trees, forestry, several things like that are certain priorities for the city, and this is one of them. Qualifications for live interpreters, we'll follow up with that. And then, in hiring a specific interpreter, I appreciate that feedback. And we are still working on the formal timeline. And then who we're consulting with. Again, I would really enjoy connecting with you to talk about the nonprofits and the grassroots organizations. So thank you.
All right, I see Lynette Scott.
I put that up a while ago. It was in response to you talking about homeless places. Since 2011, there's a 10-unit building at 160 Santa Barbara that I've brought to the notice at the SHAR meetings, and it's always been rejected. I never did find any way to get any help with that. I did mention it to Habitat, and I'm wondering if they can find out, but it's owned by Liberty Properties in Turlock.
All right, thank you for your comment. All right, I see Bianca Lopez's hand up again. I don't know if it's left up.
She may be responding to my offer to email.
Oh, okay, all right.
Thank you. I will reach out to you, sir. And I did recall my last comment that I didn't remember earlier. I'd like to see a plan to let the community know that Modesto habla español from now on. We need to make sure that people know that you are taking this seriously and that they are welcome at the city council meeting. So I'll be sharing my thoughts on that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't see anyone else that would like to speak to us at this time. This is a report only, no reportable action. Thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation. Next on the agenda is unfinished business. This is item number 28. Consider accepting Proposition 1 Stormwater Grant Program Round 2 Implementation Grant Award of $10 million for the J.M. Pike Park Stormwater to Sanitary Cross Connection Removal Project, entering into a funding agreement with the State Water Resources Control Board and amending the FY 2021-21 Capital Improvement Program budget in the amount of $15,840,000. And we will have a report.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that's a mouthful, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
So Jesse Franco, Engineering Division Manager for Utilities Department. So good evening, Mayor, members of council, members of our city team. Before I get started, I would also like to wish Pastor Wright a happy birthday.
Thank you.
He's been an inspiration and an influence, not only to me, but my family as well. So happy birthday, Pastor Wright. With that, I'll get started. Okay, as Mayor mentioned, this is a report to, or actually an item to accept the Proposition 1 Stormwater Grant Program. Miguel Alvarez is also listed as part of this presentation. He's the associate engineer who was very proactive in submitting this grant application, in which we were successful and excited to actually get the award notice. So thank you to Miguel. So Proposition 1 actually provides grant funding to local public agencies. The Stormwater Grant Program, which is specific to this grant, provides the funding for water projects that include basically surface, groundwater storage, ecosystem, watershed protection, and restoration. On February 16th, we received the good news from the states that the city was awarded $10 million for the J.M. Pike Park Stormwater to Sanitary Cross Connection Removal Project. Award of this $10 million grant will be used to fund the project management, the planning, design, engineering, environmental, as well as the park demolition and reconstruction, installation of a storm water retention system, and then removal of 9 cross connections and an installation of a stormwater pipe system. So the J.M. Pike project will actually address wastewater system capacity deficiencies. Those deficiencies include potential sewer overflows, additional maintenance, increases in treatment plant expenses, and increased costs to downstream improvements. And typically what happens is, in order to alleviate the sewer system, we have to look at downstream and make increased pipe improvements, and so this helps in that aspect. The J.M. Pike project encompasses quite a bit of the stormwater grant program with an emphasis on groundwater recharge. The project will utilize low impact development principles, which is necessary to capture and treat stormwater. It would also reduce localized flooding in the neighborhood, which is a pro, and then also restore the city park in the areas where the underground retention system is going to be installed. And this will be the 3rd project that is similar in nature. The other 2 are the Garrison Park that was completed in 2014, and then the Roosevelt Park, which was completed in 2020. This next exhibit basically shows the existing and then the proposed. So the existing is there on top, and so what basically happens is the stormwater enters into the cross connections, which enters into our sewer system, which you don't see the impacts until downstream. And so what happens is the system can be overwhelmed, resulting in surcharge and potential sanitary sewer overflows, which then can make their way into the river streams and also overwhelm our treatment plant. So the proposed project is there below it, which will basically capture now the stormwater into a storm drain system and then convey that into the J.M. Pike Park, where it's treated, captured, and then percolated back into the ground. And so that's the pluses of this project. In terms of the project location, J.M. Pike Park is located off of Kearney. And so just to give you an idea, that tributary area is basically in that Tully Road, Orangeburg area. So the tributary areas, those are shown in blue. That's basically where the areas are going to be captured, and then that will basically drain to the J.M. Pike Park. Total estimated project budget is $15,840,000, and that includes soft costs and hard costs. And out of that $15,840,000, $10 million will be reimbursed by the state. The remainder will be basically the city match. So before you this evening, we've got 2 recommendations, 2 resolutions. The first being a resolution authorizing entering into a funding agreement with the State Water Resources Control Board and authorizing and designating a representative for the J.M. Pike Stormwater to Sanitary Cross Connection Removal Project. There is an asterisk there, and in your packet there is a revised resolution. What we did is present the resolution to the state. They did have some changes that they had requested, and so we've captured that and been working with city attorney and the city clerk's office to capture those additional language into that resolution. And then the second resolution is basically amending the fiscal year budget in the amount of $15,840,000 to fully fund the project. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, does council have any questions of staff? All right, Councilman Member Zalaki.
Yeah, I do have a quick question. How much water do you think will be on an average year, not a drought year, do we think we'll recapture and be able to put back in the system?
That's a good question. I would have to go back and take a look at our calculations, and I can definitely get that amount to you.
That would be, yeah, I'd be curious.
Sure.
We're just curious if we're going to get acre feet and what kind of quantity.
You know, I honestly, I think back in the presentation, we actually had a volume in there.
Yeah.
It's in the exhibit.
It's a great project, by the way.
Yeah, we're really excited.
It really is.
All right, council member, let's see, I need my list. Council member Ricky.
Sorry, my hand's up erroneously.
Okay, all right. Any other questions from council members? Any comments from the public? I see Daniel Honorado.
No, that, I think I failed to remove my hand.
All right.
So it says lowered hand now. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. All right, so any comments from the council? This will be fun to watch.
Move approval.
Pretty excited. All right, we have a motion from
Second.
Councilmember Madrigal, a second from Councilmember Wright.
No, from Zlaki.
Oh, sorry, Zalaki. Thought it just came from that territory. I couldn't tell who it was.
Mayor, can the motion just state as amended in order to reflect the amendments proposed by?
As amended. And second.
All right, as amended. Thank you. All right, I need to ask the clerk for the roll call.
Council members Escusha Brayton. Aye. Madrigal.
Aye.
Ricky.
Aye.
Zalaki.
Aye.
Knoyer.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye. Thank you very much. Sure. Carries unanimously. We'll go to item 29, consider accepting a report on the annual review of approved water rate increases for fiscal year 2020 to 21 and adopting 2% water rate increases within fiscal year 2020 to 2021 to be deferred until October 1st, 2021. All right.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I'll be presenting this one as well.
Sure.
So this was a joint effort between Utilities Department, Finance, Budget. And so we've got this basically, everyone has just captured everyone here that's been involved in this effort. Wilson Chalabi is our Senior Financial Analyst. Jenny Martin is our Revenue Collections and Compliance Manager. Both were very collaborative on this effort. We also do have Utilities Director William Wong, who's joining us on Zoom, as well as Jeff Daniels, who's the Acting Water Systems Manager, in case there's any questions specific to the Director's side or Jeff Daniels on the Water Operations side. Okay, so beginning with some background. So June 7th is when Council approved the Water Engineers Report, the rate and fee study, and authorized the Prop 218 process. Later that year, in August, Council held the Prop 218 hearing, adopted the water rate increases for the 5 years, which spanned from fiscal year 16-17 to fiscal year 2021. And as part of that, Council directed staff to present an annual review of the water rates, which is why we're here today. At that time, Council adopted the water rate schedule, which is reflected there in the table for each of the respective years, beginning in fiscal year 16-17 and then ongoing until fiscal year 2021. And so we are actually at the last year of the water rate increases. So this slide just basically shows over the last 4 years, the action items that Council has adopted and approved, beginning in 2016, and then progressing through the next couple of years with the different rate increases. And then finally, our most recent was the rate increase that was approved back in October 22nd of 2019, and that was a 6%. So water rate increases are still required to cover the cost of service, which includes providing adequate water supply and water quality to protect public health, to meet the city's financial policies, maintain a credit rating, fund operations and capital improvement projects, and also to maintain a retained earnings of 25% of operating expenses. In terms of water projects that have been recently completed in construction, those would include the Del Rio Tank, Del Rio Well 70, Water Courtyard, Bermuda Way Strength and Replace Water Mains, and the Spencer Avenue Strength and Replace Water Mains. So as you can see, we've had a pretty progressive, pretty productive front on our capital improvement program. Projects that are still requiring funding include water quality projects, and that's basically to account for many of our wells that have experienced some type or level of contaminant that we're trying to address, which include arsenic, nitrates, things like that. We also are in need of new wells. 40% of our wells were installed 50 years ago, and so we're in desperate need to be replaced. And then we also have water main upgrades. 260 miles of our water mains are deficient, and so we have a pretty aggressive plan to replace those water mains over the next 5 and 10 years. So given the importance of water rates and sensitivity to our ratepayers, especially, in light of this recent, global COVID-19 pandemic, we actually took the time to evaluate our revenues, expenses, adjust our capital improvement program, and analyze our pro forma. And under this, we evaluated 4 different scenarios, which included the 9%, which is the adopted, as well as the 6%, a 4%, and a 2% rate increase. And this next table basically shows the difference between each of those different scenarios. And I think we've shared this with different council members at different times. And what we really want to focus on is the scenario 4, which is a 2% rate increase, which is what we're recommending here this evening. And I think a point to highlight there is basically the average household bill is $66.32. That's what would be the typical bill that we'd be looking at on the residential side. So evaluating each of the different scenarios, each option satisfied the following: allowed a fund to maintain a minimum 1.5 debt service coverage ratio required by City Council policy, met a 2.0 debt coverage ratio for future years to keep the city's current AA+ bond rating, and maintains a sufficient retained earnings. Each scenario was found to require increases in future fiscal years to maintain a financial policy and the retained earnings of 25%. And on January 25th, or early this year, water rate update was presented to Finance Committee, which recommended the 2% rate increase. So this next slide basically shows what the difference will be in the current rate. Right now, $65.02 for our typical residential, and we are recommending with the 2% increase, it would go to $66.32. So basically $1.30 is what we'd be looking at on an increase. And this basically compares to different adjacent cities. So you can see Modesto is in the middle tier. And as we broke that down a little bit further, our utility bill is basically comprised of 2 different charges. First is the meter charge, which accounts for operational administrative costs. And so the proposed increase would bring us to $36.83. And then typical usage, which is actually the volume of water that's used, would be roughly about $29.49 for, the combined aggregate of $66.32. So that's just showing that breakdown for you. The next couple slides are just basically just to show you the rate comparisons of the different meters. Again, we want to focus on scenario 4, which is the 2%, which is being recommended, and we provided those figures for you. The next table is basically the rates at basically all the lot size differences. And so for each of the respective lot sizes, there's a cost associated with that. And again, we're highlighting the 2%. One of the things we were asked to do is provide a table that showed the typical bills for retail, restaurant, and industrial. And so we've done that, provided this in this table, again, to kind of see what those impacts would be. Realizing that it's not just our residents that are impacted by the rate increases, but it's also our businesses, our residential, our retail, restaurant, and industrial. And for those costs, you can see that for average retail, we use a 1.5-inch meter. For the restaurant, it's a 2-inch meter, and for an average industrial, it's a 3-inch meter. So notices of the water rate increases, if approved by council this evening, will be made in the July, August, September utility billing, as well as informational programming on the second floor and customer service, the city website, and social media. To help offset the rate increases, we do have some programs that we have for our ratepayers to participate in. The first being the Utility Billing Assistance Program. We also do have Jenny Martin, who's available on virtually to answer any questions specific to this. But it basically allows for a $35 discount on the monthly utility bill. And in order to enroll in this, you have to qualify for an assistance program that's listed below. Funding for the Utility Billing Assistance Program is funded by penalties collected from delinquency. And based on utilization, currently the enrollment has increased from 16% from March 20 to November of 2020. and it's expected to continue to increase as more customers are affected by COVID-19. We also have a water conservation program, which consists of a high-efficiency toilet, high-efficiency clothes washer, turf replacement, drip irrigation, and smart irrigation controller. So all those are rebate programs that ratepayers can submit and apply for. So proceeding with the recommended water rate increase of 2% accomplishes the following. Meets the city's financial policies, maintains adequate debt service coverage ratio of 2.0 in future years, maintains sufficient retained earnings, and increases with an effective date of October 1st. It basically provides a 15-month deferral of rates. And considering the anticipated 2% annual increase for operating expenses through fiscal year 2021, the 2% is basically the minimum that we had recommended be implemented to cover the increased operating costs. So I think the biggest challenge for us really has been the timing of the rate increase. I think combined with the global impact of COVID-19, we really had to adapt and change and shift. Initially, based on previous resolutions, the adopted water rate increase was scheduled to be implemented July 1st of 2020, which fell right really in the middle of the COVID-19. And after consideration, the timing just was not prudent. And so, given our sensitivity consideration to our ratepayers, we deferred it. And it really ended up being a kind of just change as we go. And further resolutions require a 90-day notice before we make the rates effective. And again, I think as the year progressed, we really just, kind of evaluated where we were in our revenues and expenses, and ultimately what we're presenting and recommending is an October 1st effective date for the rate increases, and that would provide some economic relief to our ratepayers. And just to, I think, acknowledge that the deferment does not eliminate the need or importance of the rate increases, but what we'll do is basically adjust our overall capital program to accordingly to fit in line with this October 1st recommended effective date. So the recommendation before you this evening is to approve the annual water rate review and adopting the 2% water rate increase, reduced from the previously adopted 9% within fiscal year 2020-2021 to be effective October 1st, 2021. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that report. Does council have any questions of staff?
Yes, I do.
All right, Councilmember Wright.
Jesse, great report, and I'm glad to see that you're looking at our ratepayers and making sure that it is affordable to them. How often do our water standards change that comes down from Sacramento?
That's a good question. I would have to defer to Jeff Daniels, our water systems manager. But it's not every year. My understanding is they give us some time, to basically adjust. But I have to defer to Jeff Daniels. We can follow up with you.
And then a follow-up question would be, how many wells have we had to take out of service in the last couple of years due to contamination and wells going bad on us?
Same question. I can get that information.
But there have been some wells.
There has been several. We actually just ran the report just a couple days ago, to be honest with you, to put into a frequently asked questions, and so that's going to be an easy information to provide to you.
Okay, and so when the wells go dry or not dry, but the contamination levels become too high, are we immediately drilling for new wells, or having to buy more water from MID to supplement that, or what?
So it's basically once the well goes down, we basically try to determine what's the issue. And then secondly, we try to rely on what our surrounding wells are producing, rely on those, and then our surface water that we pull from MID. Right now we're working on a strategy. We've got, what's the next batch of new wells to install, and it takes some time because first you have to go and actually perform some pre-drilling to make sure that the location of the well site can produce the water quality and in production. And then once we've confirmed that it does meet that criteria, then we can start moving with the surface improvements. So the first step is basically the subsurface to confirm that we've got an actual good well site location, and then once we've confirmed that, we engage in the surface improvements. And so what we're looking at is the time it takes to actually construct a new well can usually take between, you know, 1.5 to 2 years to get it actually constructed out. And in some cases 3 years, it depends on how much testing we have to do and finding a proper location. So the end result is wells are being drawn out faster than we can put them back in line. And so that creates the need to actually, you know, start, you know, with a more aggressive strategy to diversify our water system in terms of new wells and MID.
Which means we have to buy more water from MID, and I think right now we're getting about 50% of our water from MID.
I think that's about right.
And we have to pay for that. That's not free water, correct?
So we also have Will Wong, the Director of Utilities, online. Will, I don't know if you had any of the answers to Councilmember Wright's questions.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Good evening. So, in response to Councilmember's great questions, one, in terms of water quality, city staff constantly monitors water quality. It's not on an annual basis, but what the state does is they gives the cities or the agencies that deliver water at least a fair warning that they have to come into compliance within a certain amount of time based on a different type of contaminant. So if it's an acute contaminant, it's pretty immediate, but generally our wells meet city standards or meet state standards. So we actually do have time for compliance. So right now we're monitoring several contaminants such as 123 TCP. We continually monitor PCE. So these contaminants do change over time, and staff is always on it. If we do have to come into compliance, the city will adjust its capital improvement program budget in order for us to continue to treat these wells, in order for us to deliver clean drinking water to all our customers. So any more other questions regarding the state mandates and water quality?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. And your second question is also a very good question. The city currently has about 91 wells in service. 77 are currently active, but we do have 14 that are currently offline due to water quality. And those wells could vary in terms of PCE, not really PCE, I'm sorry, but uranium, nitrates. So we have to economically look at opportunities for us to bring treatment to those wells. However, if it's not economically feasible, what we have to do is we have to abandon those wells, destroy them, and then drill new wells, as Jesse mentioned. So as in the presentation, we have 40% of our wells over 50 years old. These are major capital improvement projects that we have to do in order for us to continue to provide our customers with both clean drinking water from the groundwater and surface water.
Great.
All right, question from Council Member Zalaki.
Thank you, Mayor. Will, I'm glad you're there because this probably would be information for you. I'm a member of the County Water Advisory Committee, and a couple of months ago, this is something that was new. I had not heard it before, but I think it's relevant, especially to this particular conversation. At the Water Advisory Committee, they brought in a couple of scientists, I'd call them, and they are doing water recharge. The recharge, just surface delivery of the water, simple stuff. And particularly around wells that are struggling. And by doing that, they lowered significantly the effects of contaminants. It's an ongoing study. It's coming out of UC Davis. It might be worth examining because I'm just thinking about Pikes Park and other areas where we have the capacity to put water on, as well as all of our recharge basins. I think particular Village 1 that has 2 of them, or three of them. The ability to deliver clean water to them. The surface water was just surface water that came from mountains or from irrigation systems. And it significantly lowered the problems. It surprised them. It was really a surprise of non-technical way of getting water into a spot, flooding it well, and removing it, eliminate, of course, we all know what it did. It diluted the contaminants and removed them to a point that they were now safe. So thought I'd share that with you.
Right, question, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just thank Councilmember Zalaki for that information. One of the studies that the city is involved in, and it has to do with a regional groundwater group, is we have to ensure that groundwater is maintained in terms of quality and levels. And as you mentioned, we are looking at potential recharge projects. However, a lot of the storm drain projects typically do recharge at the higher levels. Our wells have to be at least have a minimum of 100-foot separation. So any direct surface water or stormwater recharge would probably take decades in order for us to get that down to the water levels where we actually draw groundwater. However, we are continuing to look at studies and opportunities for us to find ways to recharge our drinking water aquifers with clean water. Obviously, there are some regulatory and environmental hurdles that we have to overcome, but we continue to look at opportunities for us to maintain the groundwater levels at a sufficient level for current and future customers.
Yeah, Walt who's on the Water Advisory Committee leading the committee, would have that information of the actual study, the people that were, the two guys that were making the presentation, and it was non-evasive, and however they did it, they managed to reduce the contaminants significantly. And maybe it was sandy soil, I don't know. And we do have a lot of sandy soil around here too, so yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah, it sounds very promising, so thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Councilman Ricky.
So yeah, thanks for this information. I think it's really great. I think that one thing, and Will, we've talked about this previously. I think that it's just very important that as part of your plans to raise rates, that we start instituting a program for educating our citizens about why we're raising water rates. It's critical that we have clean drinking water. It is critical that we have safe drinking water. It is incredibly important that our children are getting water that isn't going to cause cancer or any other diseases. Paying a little more is worth that. But when we don't tell people why we're doing it, we don't do a good job of communicating how the costs of our community compare to other communities that are like ours in terms of the rates, we get a lot of negative feedback from our constituents. And so we have a responsibility to educate our community as to why we're going to vote this way rather than people having to wonder. I think we've done not as good a job communicating that as we could, and I think that's something that we need to do.
All right, thank you. Question, Councilmember Madrigal, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. Real quick, Will, can you just, for the benefit of the public, if you happen to remember, could you just state what are the discount programs that we have with regard to our water rates for people on limited income, seniors, low-income folks?
Yeah. Okay, if you want to go ahead. That was in the that was in the presentation, I believe.
Yeah,
correct.
Yes.
Right. No,
I just wanted to reiterate it. Just
yeah.
This is one of those things, repetition.
Right, so we do have, very good question, Councilman Madrigal. We do have a utility billing assistance program, which helps folks who have qualified under a different program to apply for a discount of $35 off their utility bill. And we also have the water conservation rebate programs for residents that want to conserve water via replacement of toilets, high efficiency washers, and erosion controllers.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council members? Councilmember Scudia-Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. And Jesse, thank you for that very comprehensive report. It was very insightful. Although I definitely appreciate the original extension made on this rate, and you stated the reasons why that extension was done and considered and implemented. We're not out of the woodwork yet, and I don't know that we will be October the 1st. I'm very concerned about the fiscal impact this will definitely have on our families and our businesses. What would be the ramification if we extended beyond, have a second extension and not have it go into effect October the 1st?
Good question, Councilmember Scuccia Brayton. So basically, if we continue to extend it out, the revenue, basically there's a decrease in revenue that's received, so that's the first. Secondly, we would continue to revise our capital program. Our operating costs are basically pretty well fixed, so we know what that cost is. Where we can adjust is our capital program, and that's really where we would begin to shift. And then ultimately, what it has is basically a trickle-down deferred impact. So then we start looking at what projects are being deferred out. We start looking at what are the impacts in the future fiscal years with those revenues, not being received. It ultimately has an impact, down the road. So that's basically what we'd be looking at. And an effective date would be, I think, at the council's discretion.
So I would like to explore that possibility of having an additional extension. And if we were to move in that direction, the city would incur a fiscal impact. I understand that. The financial impact that it would receive, would that impact, could it receive the stimulus funding? Would it fall into the potential guidelines that the stimulus money could supplement or reimburse the city for its losses in this area?
I would, based on what we know about the bill currently, I would think so, but obviously the full Treasury guidance is not out yet. But the premise is on infrastructure, which is what this relates to. I would also say, it's important to keep up on the rate increases. The more we defer, then we have to defer projects. The cost of the projects also continue to go up. And so, as Jesse had mentioned, there's a trickle-down effect. I'll also like to mention we are currently getting ready to start our water rate 218 study process, as well as our wastewater process. Any further deferrals, we would probably say then we need to just wait until those studies are done for future determinations of what those increases are going to be. And just as a word of caution for the council, when we adopted these current water rates, our first year, I believe, was a 26% increase because we kept deferring projects out and out and out, which then caused a much higher increase needed to be absorbed all at one time. And so it's just very important that we keep up with this process because we have to make sure that we provide clean drinking water and safe drinking water to our community, and keeping up on those capital needs is vitally important, and we need that revenue. Also, and we do have a good debt service ratio at this point in time, but our bond rating agencies are continually looking at us and making sure that we're meeting those levels. The last thing we want to do is affect that bond rating, which would make it much more expensive for us to borrow money at a much higher cost, which then has another trickle-down effect, which now comes back to the ratepayers again in the future.
I do not disagree with anything you've said. However, we are experiencing unprecedented times that is impacting the pocketbook of our families and our businesses. And if we could alleviate that for just a bit, I'm not saying eliminate it, but alleviate it for an extended period of time, I would greatly appreciate this council to consider that.
Mayor?
Sure, Councilmember Wright.
You have ran this by the Manufacturing Council Committee, correct?
Correct.
It has to do with a lot of the large manufacturers in the area. And they recommended a 2%. Am I correct?
That was what they had recommended or requested.
Okay, so they're on board with this, and they understand why we're looking at this. And I think at one time we were looking at a 4 or 6%, but after talking to them, we've actually brought it down to a 2%.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you. Councilmember Knoyer? questions?
Yes, I appreciate Councilmember Escutia Braden's concern, but we have moved this down. We have not had an increase, and we have to be really careful about our bond ratio and our credit. We ran into that in, I think it was in 2008 when it dropped. We had to put $10 million aside that we could not touch for fear that we would have problems with our bonds and having to replace them right away. I appreciate the fact that we're concerned in October, but there are people who did not qualify that could qualify for the $35, rebate, and we just have to look at, what's really important on the overall for us, and I'm not sure, Jesse, how long have we not had a rate increase now?
This would be, if we defer to October 1st, it would be a 15-month deferral.
Yeah, it's a 15-month deferral. And like I said, the last time we deferred it so long, we ended up giving them a 25% increase. So, I really appreciate the fact that we need to look at our constituents and hope that, we can just hope that in October, things have improved. But I really believe that this is the lowest we can go to maintain our bond ratio, our ratios, and also continue with our maintenance. Because the problem with the city of Modesto, and I've seen this in the 8 years that I've been here, we do no deferred maintenance, and everything ends up piling up, and it's a disaster at the end. Because the longer you put things off, the more they cost. So I really appreciate that, but I am going to have to go along with, and I'm going to be in favor of the increase.
We have more questions from the council, and we want to be sure we will be hearing from the public on this also. So Councilmember Madrigal?
No further questions. I'll lower my hand, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, we will go to the public. Daniel Onorado.
Again, you can take my, I'm not sure what
Okay,
happened.
all righty. All right, Sebastian Jones.
Hello?
Hi there, Sebastian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon, Mayor and my fellow city councilman. I just kind of dotted in a little bit, excuse my lateness, but I think it was talking about a water increase. As some of you know, I sit on the water bill for 18 years out at Monterey Park Track. I am the person that brought the clean water, the main person to bring clean water, and that's why the governor came out to Monterey Track on his first term. But you're talking about increase, and I understand when you talk about the nitrates and the arsenic and all that. Well, I think that the city should have been doing testing at the other sites and getting it ready. But like I said, I came in late. But I did hear him say he had about 50 wells. Well, we know that the wells, some of them are 50 years old. But would it have been in good faith if they would have been looking for other sites? And, because you are going to run into that Corcoran clay. That's a bad source of water. But to increase this, you guys got to think, this is a bad timing. You got business starting back just like they're new. Now they're going to be hit with a wall, a water bill. Everything's going to go up, the car wash, the laundromat, and you name it's going to trickle on down to people. I did hear Mr. Manuel talk about the incentive for some people that can't afford or whatever the case it is. But then you're going to have to go up there and get them a little bit more money on that too. But I think we should put this to the side. You guys sitting up there and y'all ain't thinking. Look at the whole deal on this whole water thing with 50 pumps and whatever. I understand the business want to pay 2%. They don't mind. They got the money to pay it. But we're talking about people, the public, paying. This is not a time. We're dealing with a pandemic. We're dealing with people trying to start a business, get back to their business. They're hurting right now. You got people that's homeless because they couldn't afford the rent or whatever. Everybody's hurting. And then when you look at the city, oh, we're going to raise the water bill because of this. Well, why don't you tap in some of that Clean Water Act that the governor got? I don't know if you're entitled to it, but there is billions of dollars sitting aside if you need some help on your pumps or whatever. There's grant money for that. But raising the water bill is just not a good time. They're going to look at you guys like, wait a minute, let me get started. Let's get this city functional. Let's get it operating. Then we can come back. Right now, we're almost to the ground. We're trying to operate. And now we got to deal with water bill. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't care if you did say you had it on hold 18 months. Put it on hold again. It ain't going to hurt.
All right,
There's money sitting aside.
Sebastian.
Thank you.
Okay, all righty. You're welcome. All righty. So I do not see any other public comments at this time.
Make a motion to
Bill,
approve.
hold on just a minute. Okay. No, I thought maybe Loretta was coming up. Are you coming up? Okay. I thought so.
Sorry, you've got this open tonight for us to talk, because I'll talk too much. I want to know something. This work that you guys do,
Okay.
is that also
Loretta, you talk to us.
I'm
okay?
sorry.
That's all right. Talk to us, and then I'll direct it
Is
back.
that also connected with our alleys and the repair work that goes into our alleys and all this pipes and all here in the city? This billing, isn't that also connected with all that?
Okay, why don't you step away, and so he can come to the microphone, and then, oh, be careful, All right.
So any projects that are water related that occur in the alleyways, we would fund the improvements for the water improvements, the upsizing the water pipe, the services and restoration of any pavement that's associated with that water line. But anything that's beyond that, repaving an alley, things like that, we would not do. Only what is covered under, that's required to improve a water main. That's the only thing we would cover.
That's the line needs down the alleys.
Correct.
Okay, because that's what's needed here in the city bad.
All right, thank you for that comment. I don't see any other public comments. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
All right, I have a
Second.
motion from Councilmember Wright, second from Councilmember Ricky. Could I ask for the roll?
Councilmember Suskusha Brayton. Councilmember Madrigal.
Aye.
Councilmember Ricky.
Aye.
Zolaki.
Aye.
Canoyer.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Mayor Swallen.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It passes 6-1. I am going to request that we take a 10-minute courtesy break. We will resume at 8 p.m. Thank you. Thank you. We're resuming at 8 p.m. Next on the agenda is new business, item number 30. Consider approving the appropriation of general fund reserves in the amount of $650,000 and amending the fiscal year 2020 to 21 operating budget to establish a new expenditure appropriation in the amount of $650,000 to fund a contribution to the Relief Across Downtown RAD program, with the intent to reimburse this amount with American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 funding from United States Department of the Treasury when these funds become available to the City of Modesto, and approving an independent contractor agreement with the Modesto Improvement Partnership Incorporated for services involving administrative support to implement the RAD program. And we will first have a staff presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Another long title. Appreciate you reading that. Jalen French, Community Economic Development Director. I'll be providing the staff report here. So the item before you, as was read, came from a recommendation from the Economic Development Committee, a subcommittee of the City Council. And so a little bit about the RAD card. You see the logo there. The RAD card was developed really in response to the pandemic and the slowing of business at various retail and restaurant businesses. With some seed money from a private investor, the Downtown Modesto Partnership created basically a gift card program. I don't want to oversimplify it, but a gift card program with some matching funds associated. These funds, these cards are redeemable at participating businesses within the downtown. And customers could buy $25, $50, or $100 worth of product or services and get an equal amount of matching funds from the donations. Again, there was an original private donation and then subsequent county donations, and really increased consumer spending power and modeled a more traditional commerce and economic, trade, so to speak, in these businesses. So as we further dive in, $1.3 million was put up as matching funds in total for the RAD card. That money has been exhausted. There are no more matching funds available at this time, but there are $400,000 left on people's cards. The DMP, Downtown Modesto Partnership, has calculated the burn rate, the spend rate that people have spent down their balances, and it's about $212,000 a month for the last 4 months on average. So there has been some thought with no more matching fund and some available stimulus money that the city could participate and support the RAD card program by whatever means available. And so the Downtown Modesto Partnership made a request that the City Council support the program to the same tune that the county ultimately supported the program. And on March 25th, the Economic Development Committee made that recommendation onto the City Council, and this is why we're here. So what would this mean? What are the logistics here? If, depending on the action tonight, the City Council would enter into an agreement with the Downtown Modesto Partnership to authorize city support of the program and detail the scope of services. There would be a 9% administrative fee associated at the $650,000 total. That would equate to about $58,500. One of the questions before the council tonight is the 650 inclusive? Should you move forward? Is the 650 inclusive of that 9% administrative fee, or is that on top? And so that's the third bullet point there. Essentially, if approved, the term of the agreement would begin tonight, tomorrow, and conclude September 30th. One note, if stimulus funds are chosen or eligible, the city will not receive those funds until late May, and that'll be the first tranche, about half of the money, and then the city will receive a second tranche of money in May 2022. So if we were to move forward, general fund reserves would be used in the intermediate, in the time period between when we receive the stimulus monies in late May. And then we'd determine eligibility of the stimulus funds. So the recommendation from the EDC, consider a general fund reserve appropriation of $650,000 or $708,500 if the administration fee is on top, to fund a contribution to the RAD program with the intent to reimburse the general fund reserves with ARPA funding from the U.S. Treasury when these funds become available to the City of Modesto. This was read. And consider an agreement with the Downtown Modesto Partnership to implement the RAD card program and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreement. And so I and other staff are available to answer any questions that the council or the public may have.
All right, does council have any questions of staff? Tony?
I have my hand raised.
I see it. Tony?
Just real quickly, could you please elaborate, if you know, what did the County of Stanislaus contribution of $650,000 for the Modesto downtown red card contribution include? Was it $650,000 inclusive of the 9%, or did they do an additional $58,000 also, or as you put it, on top of?
Their contribution, the administration fee, was on top of the $325,000 each set aside, so the $650. It was on top.
And then just my follow-up question is was today's action to have the funding come out of reserves, was this the only possible funding scenario that could have come before us today? Because as I recall making the motion at the Economic Development Committee meeting, I believe I said, bring back a proposal making the necessary budget adjustment. I try to keep it as broad as possible to give staff the necessary leeway to bring back this proposal today. So was the budget reserves funding source the only option available to us today to make this funding available as quickly as possible to the red card?
Councilmember Madrigal, that is correct.
Okay, just clarifying. Thanks. That's all my questions for now.
All right, Councilmember Canoyer?
Yes. So when the Finance Committee said that they wanted to give the $650,000 toward the RAD card, and if we add a $58,500, that's $708,500. I would like to know, and I'm sorry, I hope you have this, how much has the restaurants received in stimulus money from the beginning, from the the money they got to do their, keep their, pay their, the loans. Some were loans and some weren't. How much money have they received overall? Do you have any idea?
No, council member, I'm sorry. I don't have any idea. There's 40, 45 restaurants downtown, and each individual restaurant.
No, I'm talking about the money that the government gave. I don't want that each one has, but how much has the government allotted to restaurants for their businesses?
new money or old money?
I see.
Well, you know,
I see, yeah.
when this started, they came out, they've had a couple of different pots of money that has come to the states and from the state and from the federal government to help alleviate small businesses, which is restaurants also. And if I remember right, there's a specific restaurant amount of money in this new, I keep calling it a stimulus bill, but that's not what it is. They call it something else. Yeah. But specific monies that the restaurants, not individual restaurants, but the whole restaurant industry could have gotten for their businesses.
Yeah, thank you. I understand the question, and I don't have that number off the top of my head. As you indicated, in the rounds of stimulus, not only from the federal government, from the state, there has been a number of programs that support restaurants and other service-related businesses. And there's additional support in the latest stimulus funding approved by the federal government. There is a specific program, I think you referenced it, of $29 billion across the nation, specifically for restaurants, as well as a continuation of the PPP program and other businesses that have been impacted adversely by the COVID pandemic. But I don't have the total number of available funds.
I'm sorry, I probably should have asked that before this, because that's something I would be very interested in knowing, because I just like to know how much they got, how many, kind of, because $708,000, and we don't know if we can use this new money for this, because half of the money actually helps the restaurant, but what it is, it's helping the person that's buying it, because they're gaining money, they're gaining half the money. So half the money is going, the government could say it is going to the business, but it's going to the person that purchased the thing. So we don't know for sure if we will get our money back. There's no guarantee that we're gonna get that $708,500 back. That's all my concern.
All right, questions? Councilmember Wright?
Yeah, I have a question. So as councilperson Knoyer said, we don't know whether or not we can take the stimulus money or the American Rescue Plan Act money and put it into reserves. Is that correct, City Manager?
Councilman Wright, yeah, that is correct. At this point in time, the Treasury is indicating that they are not going to release full guidance on the dollars until the actual money, the first installment of money is delivered, which we anticipate to be mid to late May. Our lobbyists were actually on a call today where they reiterated that the final guidelines with respect to the dollars is still not finalized. As part of that call, they were also indicating that there were still a lot of questions to be answered, that they're getting questions from various communities and asking for guidance, and they're just not willing to provide that guidance at this point in time. So we will not know full guidance for at least several weeks and most likely not until mid-May.
So there's a possibility then that money could never be paid back to the reserves.
I think that would be a fair statement.
Thank you.
All right, question, Councilmember Madrigal?
No, it was an old hand raised.
Okay.
I have a question, Mayor.
All right, question, Councilmember Escudia-Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. Did your recommendation include a recommendation for having it be inclusive of potentially the fifth or on top of? I wasn't clear on the recommendation of staff.
Yeah, no, the Economic Development Committee's recommendation did not include that piece.
So,
but just as clarification to that, when the item went to the Economic Development Committee, we were not aware of the 9% administrative fee at that point in time. When we received the contract, we were made aware of it, and that is a point of conversation for the council should they choose to move forward with the RAD program.
I see, and would have to be included in the statement of the motion if
Correct.
that is the will of the council. Got it, thank
That's
you.
correct.
Are there any other questions from council members?
Just a quick follow-up. So if and when we get to a point for a council member to make a motion, it would be a motion to approve the staff recommendation, both staff recommendations. Would that suffice if we just say both staff recommendations as listed in the agenda?
No, I believe we would need, well, there's two recommendations in general. One is the allocation of the money for reserves, and the second is an agreement with Downtown Modesto Partnership. As with respect to the first motion, we need to indicate whether or not the 650 is inclusive of 9%, which means a little less than $600,000 would be allocated to the program, with the remaining amount up to 650 being for the administrative fee, or if it'll be 650 plus the 58,500 for a total of 708,500. So it'd be either or.
And that would include an amendment to the resolution allocating the money. The current resolution in the packet is for the 650,000.
So the motion would be to approve the staff recommendation and include also the recommendation to enter into an agreement with Downtown Modesto Partnership for the additional 9% administrative fee. Would that be sufficient as a motion if we were to get to that point?
No, it would just, I think that just simply, Councilmember, when we get to that point, we could definitely talk about it, but we would be making the motion to approve the recommendation with the additional, whatever it is. And then we can make the adjustments to the resolution itself, because the resolution would be having to be amended. The current item has two different actions. One action is already entering into the agreement for the administration of the program. The second item is the actual allocation of the money as well. So there's already two actions, and it's just the action allocating the money that would need to change.
Can we please identify the staff recommendation so we can see what we're talking about, please?
Thank you.
Just a reminder that we do need to hear from the public prior to making a motion.
Thank you.
All right, is that it?
Yeah.
With your question? Okay, you saw that. All right, do we have any other questions from the council?
I have my hand raised.
All right, Councilmember Ricky?
So I hear a lot of discussion about the 9% administrative fee. Can you give me some example? I mean, it seems like a pretty standard fee to me. Can you give me some examples of some other programs that the city funds and their relative administrative fees?
So I'll start to answer that question. Usually when we get types of grants and things of that nature, there are administrative fees that do come with that, and that's part of administrating the program, staff time, staff work, and things of that nature. So Jalen may have more specifics than that, but sometimes when we get grants, there are administrative components that coincide with that, with those dollars.
What's the question on what this fee?
What is a standard percentage of administrative fees in administrating a program, in similar programs that we fund like this? Because it seems like we're making kind of a to-do about the fees, so I just want to I want a basis of comparison. Is the 9% fee a fair fee? Is it an unfair fee? Why the emphasis on the fee?
I would say City Manager Lopez is actually absolutely correct. We do deal with administrative fees on top of grants. This is a slightly different program that we do not have as much experience with. It's a software-based program, a technologically based program, and so it may not be comparable in terms of the grant administration fees that we experience. So I would have a tough time comparing it to other fees and see if it's a fair fee or not.
So you can't tell me, okay. It'd just be helpful to have a basis of what we're talking about and why, yeah. If it's a standard thing, I just am a little confused as to what the emphasis is on it.
No,
If other programs have administrative fees, I'm just confused why it's an emphasis.
Councilmember Ricky, just for clarification, we just need to know which way to go, whether it's up or down. So the recommendation from EDC was just $650,000. So there's a decision point here of whether the $650 includes the administrative fee or whether or not council's desire is to put the administrative fee on top of that and allocate additional dollars.
But some of these fees are for like credit cards, right?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Which would usually be inclusive, right?
Yeah.
When you're buying something, they don't charge you extra for using a credit card, right? So I think the question seems to be kind of a given that it should be part of the, I don't understand the confusion. Anyway, maybe I'm just confused, I don't know.
All right. No other questions from council members? We'll go to the public. John, sorry.
I just had a quick question, Madam Mayor. I have my hand up.
Sure.
I had asked our city attorney's office if they could just look into whether we as a council need to make any additional resolution or declaration of economic impact due to the pandemic or anything like that, similar to the emergency declaration that the city made in March, I think 17th of 2020, about having because of the pandemic. Do we need to do anything like that to help provide additional necessary legal cover when it comes to how we used these funds and our intent to replenish our reserves from the American Rescue Plan funds when they arrived to us? We were told mid-May, now they're saying late May. So is there anything else you can say about that, City Attorney?
Mayor, if I may, so our original emergency declaration and proclamation was very broad, dealing with all the effects regarding COVID. But the reality is that I can't tell you right now a resolution of X, Y, or Z is going to help you get those funds or be able to use those funds any differently. Right now, we're waiting for the guidance that's going to come out when the money comes out. But our current emergency declaration was broad. And, we've brought other items with similar findings of the economic impacts, even when we did for example, the delivery fee ordinance, et cetera. So we have made findings like that already, but I think that what's going to be important is to see what the guidance, what the requirements of the funding will be.
Is that it? You still have your hand up, Councilmember Madrigal. Do you have any more questions?
Not for now. I'll wait for the public comment. Thank you. I know they've been waiting a while.
Okay, Josh Bridegroom.
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great. Well, I am happy to be here tonight. I wanted to start out by thanking our mayor, Zwalin, and city council and city staff for your interest in supporting the downtown community through the innovative Rad Card program. The fact that you recognize the value of this program says a lot to me and the downtown community as a whole. As my old friend Dave White likes to say, downtown is the community living room. It is the neighborhood that belongs to everyone and has the greatest effect on driving the brand of our community. Downtown has the highest property tax yield and employs more people per acre than any other location, not just in Modesto, but in all of Stanislaus County. For us to have a healthy community, we need to have a healthy downtown. Over the last few months, the rad card has been the primary means of sustaining downtown retailers, restaurants, and salons, businesses that provide the networking backdrop, the social glue that holds downtown together and contributes to its unique sense of place. As conveyed by staff in the agenda report, the funds are not expected to last much longer, and the city contribution recommended by the Economic Development Committee and city staff will help keep this program going as we climb out of the pandemic and provide a much needed shot in the arm to downtown businesses to help normalize their financials. There are other programs that have helped up to this point, most notable of which is the Payroll Protection Program, and there are more that are coming. These will supplement the RAD card in restoring businesses to normal, but they won't replace it. The RAD card is uniquely aimed at generating revenue, whereas the other programs are designed to cover just operating expenses. Revenue is necessary for profit, without which businesses cannot exist. While helpful in covering past expenses, as the Restaurant Relief Act is intended to do, it does nothing to address profit loss or sustain adequate business activity leading into the future. And it does nothing to aid non-restaurant establishments, as the RAD card does. During this difficult period, so many of our residents and businesses have had to dip into their savings or rainy day funds to keep going. Some have even had to go into some debt through loans or credit cards. The Downtown Modesto Partnership elected to dip into its reserves or rainy day funds in order to help our restaurant community build parklets so they might have adequate space to serve customers through the pandemic. The week before last, San Joaquin County elected to dip into its rainy day funds to get RAD card going throughout San Joaquin County. They weren't willing to wait for the American Rescue Plan Act funds to begin the program. And while I believe the Rescue Plan Act funds will be able to be used for this program, because it is broadly accepted and the general wisdom surrounding it is that it's more generous and pervasive than what the CARES Act funds were, which Stanislaus County employed, I do think that it's going to take us some time to plug that program in, and if the city council were to get behind that right now, we could see those funds restored to the city in the future. The greatest pandemic in over a century has indeed created a very rainy day, and this is an appropriate use of rainy day funds. So I want to thank you for your time and consideration, Mayor Zwallen and Council, for this item. And I have available here if there are any questions, or if you want to pass on to somebody else, that's fine too.
Great, thank you.
I just have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Byron, could you please just elaborate on what does the 9% administrative fee pay for? Like what costs do you absorb? Like do you charge the restaurants any more money? Stuff like that?
No. So this program is 100% designed to benefit the retails. So I want to really underscore this. This is not for restaurants only. This is for businesses inclusively. So and universally. So it includes theaters, retailers, personal care service providers, salons, restaurants, the whole gamut. We have had more restaurants sign up, but part of that was because they were able to be operating at some capacity while others were not. But we do have a number of the other service providers signed up as well. So to answer your question, Tony, we see this program as something that benefits the entire downtown community and provides funds that would otherwise really not be there, and revenue that no other program that currently is out there provides.
So are the customers paying, like, say, an additional 3% or the participating businesses or anything for using their credit cards or stuff like that, or
absolutely,
or do you pay it under the 9%? What happens?
Yeah, that's paid under the 9%. So the 9% covers approximately 3% credit card processing, 6% administration. The software engineer and customer service arm of this is $15,000 a month. So $15,000 a month, doesn't the $650,000 at 6% of that going toward the $15,000 a month doesn't bring us very far. The downtown partnership fully expects to be picking up a large share of the operational costs within the downtown, but given that the downtown area is our mission and it is our focus, and we do believe that the downtown area is special and unique to building up the community as a whole, it is worth our investment and time and money.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next we have Susie Fagundes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm co-owner of Intrinsic Elements on J Street. We are retail. We are a non-restaurant business. We signed up for this program immediately when it came out. And in my mind, I was looking for, what's the catch? There was no catch. It's the most well-run, smooth and easy to understand. All my staff caught on immediately how to use it, if that makes a difference to you. So whatever that administrative fee is, there is no catch. I kept thinking, what's it going to cost me or what's it going to cost the consumer? It didn't. It was. I can't even tell you how important it's been to us for our survival. I just looked today. I had 28 sales in March that maybe I wouldn't have had, or maybe it would have been half as much. But every single day that we are open, I get at least one RAD sale and sometimes 3. I just can't even begin to tell you the importance to our little store. And I know that you all want us to be there at the end of this COVID. So I just implore you to invest in us, which is, investing in you, investing in our city. So I just encourage that if this can be done, that you would seriously consider doing it for all of us. Thank you for letting me speak.
Sure, thank you. Liliana Souza Downs.
Hello, good evening, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for listening to me. I recently opened a business 3 months before the pandemic started in 2019, December. So we had a very slow start since we closed only a few months after opening. And the RAD program has been such a major part of our survival. In the month of December, during the holidays, it contributed to half of our income, our sales for the holiday season, and it continues to be a major part of our sales. Unlike many businesses that have been in business for a while, because we opened in December, we were not given any free money or grant money. You had to provide information from a whole year before. Obviously, we were new back here. So the RAD card. The RAD program has been very beneficial to our survival.
All right. I don't know where the background noise was coming from, but sorry about that.
That's all right.
All right. Did you have anything more that you wanted to add?
Only that it's a wonderful program, and I can tell you that my customers enjoy it because they can spend more than they maybe could have before the pandemic or in general. Also, I have seen new customers into my store that I probably would not have seen if it not had been for the RAD card. And I know that most of my friends and family have benefited from it and enjoying downtown restaurants and other boutiques and other stores. So we have ourselves contributed to downtown economy.
All right, thank you very much. Stephen Allen?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. I just want to preface my comment or question. I'm not sure if you're taking questions, but I just want to preface it by saying that I'm like totally ignorant of kind of how the whole program operates. And also just by saying downtown has been my home for several years. Pretty much all of the money that I spend at businesses that would fall under this pretty much in the downtown area. I've had 3 different residences. Each time I moved, I was still downtown. So very much, connected, I guess. But anyhow, additionally, when I first heard about the RAD card, I don't know, I just thought that's really, I don't want to say rad. I thought it was really cool. And I think what y'all been doing with it is wonderful. But my question basically is, I'm a little confused on where exactly the money would be coming from. Are those general funds? And if so, does that bring up issues of fairness for the community if basically something that only focuses on, building the brand, so to speak, of Modesto, as it's been called, is that really fair to the rest of the community? Or is that even really how it works, I guess? So please enlighten me if that's just kind of a dumb question. That's just something that came to mind that I was concerned about.
All right, thank you for your concern. We'll have a response right here.
Yes, the initial allocation would be coming from the general fund, and if Treasury guidance allows, it would be then reimbursed with the American Rescue Plan dollars.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. We will go to Lynn Dickerson. If you could unmute, Lynn.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So most of you know that I am hugely a big fan of this program. In all fairness, I serve as the president of the Downtown Modesto Partnership, so I am not an unbiased commenter here, but I do believe that this is one of the most effective and efficient programs that I've seen, and such a really great way to use stimulus dollars. I totally understand your concern about dipping into the general reserves, and that would make me nervous too. I guess we're all just sort of betting that this is going to be able to be backfilled with those stimulus dollars, because I can't imagine a better use of stimulus dollars. The thing I love so much about this, and it's been alluded to already by Susie and others, it's super efficient, it's easy to use, it's easy to roll out. There's no cost to the consumer, there's no cost to the business. Unlike if you go into a restaurant and use your credit card, they pay a credit card fee. With this, they pay no fee. So it's such a win-win. It doubles the consumer's money, it drives business to these small restaurants. And many of you have talked about the other stimulus funds they've received. These are still drops in the bucket compared to the losses that small businesses have incurred. So I would just encourage you to support this, because I do think it's just such a great program and there's just no downside to it. And Chris, to your question, my experience, and obviously I don't work for the city, but my experience with serving on the board of the Community Foundation, with having grants at the Gallo Center, 10% is a very normal fee for administration and things like this. So I think the 9% is not out of line at all. And there is cost. We do have cost. We have a person that manages this program and gets the checks to the restaurants in a timely manner, and deals with all of the issues that might happen if someone has a complication. So there is cost. We're not trying to make money off the deal, but any funds that go into the downtown partnership get put right back into downtown. So whatever money goes there will be used just to better downtown. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Brad Morad.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. My name is Brad Morad. I own Skewers Restaurant in downtown Modesto, and also been part of DIB for a very long time in the past. And I just wanted to say, first time I heard the RAD card, it kind of sounded like the Brad card, but honestly, I changed the name to it at my restaurant and included to my friends to the actually I call it a no-brainer program. It's such a great win-win situation for everybody, including the restaurants and the public. The public doubles their money. They don't pay any fees. The restaurants accept it, and they have zero fees as well. And mostly what makes it amazing is how simple it is for our staff to use it with our customers. Literally, it's just you unlock your phone and you scan the QR code, you complete your tip program from there, or how much tip you want to leave. And at the end, there's pretty much no touching, nothing, no one's touching anything. And it's been an amazing program and driving a lot of business to us in downtown, especially from a lot of people from not living in downtown. Everyone is coming to downtown just to use the RAD card. That's been the best program about it, the best thing about it. As far as, I mean, so many people before me, Lynn and Susie, they made a lot of great points that were, you know, some of them were my points as well. So it's really kind of hard to add more to it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's been an amazing program. It's really helped us very much. I can't tell you how many times a day we get customers that ask us if we accept the RAD card, and we're always gladly saying yes, because we do love it. And we get funded right away within maybe 1 or 2 business days. And our customers love it also. So I just want to say that it's been an excellent program, and it's been amazing, and that's why I called it a no-brainer, because it's a literally win-win situation for everybody, including the city of Modesto, including for downtown. But most of all, the consumer, which is the people that are out there taking the biggest hit, they're doubling their value in money. They're putting in $100 and they're getting $200 in a gift card, or $50, they're getting $100. Especially, it's not just meant for restaurants, it's meant for everybody else in downtown that have a business license. They could use it. Whoever wants to participate, they can. Whoever doesn't want to participate, they don't have to. But I'm just going to leave off with saying it's been an amazing program, and I'm looking forward to be using it continuously. Thank you.
You're welcome. Heidi Savage?
Hello there. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. The RAD card brings people downtown from all over Modesto and the county. I hear that from different business participants fairly often, actually. It helps introduce new customers to our retailers, theaters, salons, and restaurants. Even just yesterday, I was in an eatery and they were asking, because they ask me regularly, when are you going to get more RAD funds? They were saying it's so great because, you know, we just met somebody from Turlock yesterday that wouldn't have known about us had we not been participating in the RAD card. So the RAD card, I know we talked about this a little bit, but I want to make sure it's clear that the RAD card supports not only restaurants. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Heidi Savage, Modesto Downtown Improvement District. I should probably state that. The RAD card supports not only restaurants, but also retailers, theaters, and salons. We have nearly a third of the program participants that range from clothing and jewelry stores to small markets, hair salons, barbershops, Gallo Center for the Arts, the State Theater. In addition to being a business support program, it's also a program that helps our citizens because their purchasing dollars double, making their money go further, which particularly in the times of COVID, that's a really great thing. Modesto Downtown Improvement District is a city commission that works to help and support businesses of downtown. As we all know, COVID has been very difficult on our businesses. And this unique program designed by the Downtown Modesto Partnership has been a lifeline to many of them. $650,000 in funding for these brick and mortar operations as we climb our way out of this crisis will help facilitate these businesses staying around beyond COVID. The goal ultimately is that our downtown remains a thriving economic hub that provides a strong tax base to the city and offers residents and visitors entertainment, services, cuisine, and a sense of community that so many of us love and appreciate about Modesto. So thank you, Mayor and City Council, for considering funding this proposal.
You're welcome. Thanks for speaking. Blake? Would you unmute Blake? I don't know, Blake, are you there? Maybe we should come back to Blake. So we'll go to David Darmstandler.
How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good to hear your voices. Thank you guys for considering this. Dave Darmstandler, CEO of DataPath. We obviously just made an investment downtown, building out our headquarters. Can't say enough about the RAD program. It's the reason I joined the Domo board, to be honest. I think the potential the program has already been seen with our local restaurant owners and local small business owners downtown. It's just inspiring to see also just local tech being developed, and this program is getting more and more other counties and cities reaching out, trying to do the same thing. And so I think it's just, it was mentioned earlier about kind of the money going out, which is true, but really you gotta look at this as a $1.3 million kind of net investment into the local community, because we're asking our local community members to step up and contribute an equal dollar amount, which is makes it even more effective program for guys like Blake and different people downtown. So thank you guys for considering it. Sorry I'm out of breath, but I ran once I heard my name being called.
Sorry.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for considering the program, and we're excited to kind of continue to see the positive improvement it makes downtown. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Blake, I don't see your hand. Oh, there you is. Your hand is raised. Are you ready? If you could unmute. Oh, there must be problems. So we'll go to Lynette Scott.
So what I'm interested in, what are the boundaries of downtown, and are they fixed? Because I didn't know about the RAD card. I'd never heard anybody else talk about it either.
All right. Who would like to answer that question? I believe I know, but I'll let Jalen answer.
I actually don't know if it's the full downtown, or my guess is it's the DMP boundary, which I'm not intimately familiar with.
How many businesses? That would probably give her a good idea.
I think there's 40 or so businesses that have signed up, maybe 50 that have signed up for the program. Maybe Josh can speak to the boundaries.
Okay, Josh Bridegroom, would you like to respond to Lynette?
Sure. Hi, Lynette. This is Josh Bridegroom, the CEO of the Downtown Modesto Partnership. The program is intended to benefit the entire square mile of downtown Modesto. So the original city boundaries as established through the Central Pacific Railroad in 1870. So it's 1st Street, NH, over by Modesto High School, to 5 Points, McHenry area by Needham, all the way to the bridge and Jefferson Avenue that kind of connects the west end of downtown to West Modesto, and then the southern end of downtown by the Tuolumne River. So it is the full extent of our historic city and the heart of the community.
Thank you.
Josh, how many businesses are on the RAD card?
Currently, we have about 45 businesses on the RAD card.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Blake, try once again. Oh, still not working. How about, I see Barrett.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Barrett Lapomi here. I'm also a member of the Downtown Modesto Partnership Board of Directors and also a downtown business owner. And it's been very great to hear from a lot of the downtown businesses that have benefited from this. And I echo a lot of the comments previously. I've been able to be a user from early on and use this to buy Christmas presents and gift cards and all kinds of stuff throughout and lunches downtown. So I appreciate the city council's consideration of this funding, having been able to see it both as a user and from the inside, how the program's been working and the successes of it. It's really exciting. So again, I appreciate your time and consideration and would encourage you to help fund this program and continue to support these businesses downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Christy Boyette.
Hi there, Christy Boyette, Executive Director at the State Theater. I'm also on the Downtown Modesto Partnership Board, and I'm a fan of the card, and I'm also a lucky recipient of the RAD card at the State Theater. It brings me joy every time someone comes in to buy popcorn, and they say, "We need my RAD card," or to buy a T-shirt. And we love that we can be part of this downtown economic development, and I completely support and ask the councils and the mayor's support to continue this program. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other hands up from the public? All right. We will go back. Oh, okay. Blake's hand is up one more time.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes,
hey,
yes.
Thank you very much. I actually didn't realize my hand was up. After I heard Brad eloquently represent restaurants for downtown Modesto, I went to say a quick good night to my children. So I apologize. But I did just want to represent our restaurants, Commonwealth and Church Key in downtown Modesto. The RAD card has been a great support through a pretty difficult 12-month period. We've seen business start to improve in downtown, but there were very desperate times over the last 12 months. And there were a lot of positive influences in keeping us in business, but the RAD card was a significant player in allowing us to be in the position we're in today. So just wanted to give our positive support for the program, but also earlier on in the meeting, I know there were some questions about how the government has supported restaurants throughout this pandemic and throughout the past 12 months. And I've also talked to other restaurants and Josh about the RAD card and been able to provide perspective from a restaurant's point of view. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if someone had any about how restaurants are doing, how downtown's doing from a restaurant owner's perspective, or any questions
I'd like to
about
hear.
PPP. Okay. Hear what?
I'd like to hear your perspective on how restaurants are doing or how they are availing themselves of such other programs from the government, state, local, or federal, or in general. What have you been hearing? Tell us. This is, I mean, I know restaurants aren't the only businesses in downtown that this RAD card supports, but since you said, I'd be interested in learning.
Yeah, and I'd also like to build on that. Just like tell us about what the experience has been for you as an owner, for your employees. How's the RAD card impacted all these elements that make downtown and your business?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so for our two restaurants, when COVID initially hit, we closed both locations for 4 weeks to ensure safety to our employees and our customers. And so obviously that was zero revenue for about 4 weeks. Opened up the takeout in over about 8 to 10 months. Opened briefly for indoor, did a lot of takeout, but it was a roller coaster for sure. Opened and closed multiple times. In terms of government funding, the PPP program waived 1 restaurants and other extremely impacted businesses downtown, like salons and gala centers. While our revenue was significantly impacted, all businesses got or received PPP money. So I would say that we are very grateful for that program. We have been more broadly affected by the pandemic. We were also able to apply for PPP2, which you could only get if you could represent 25% lost revenue in a quarter. So I think that any restaurant would qualify for that. And there actually was a little bit of a multiplier for restaurants. So to be perfectly transparent, in PPP2, there was a little bit additional money. It was really a 2.5x multiplier to a 3.5x multiplier. Someone has questions, I can explain that. But so we were kind of categorized as all businesses, whether it was, if you could show a loss of 25% revenue, you received additional funding. It's been very helpful, and it's helped us keep our staff employed in houses, in apartments, food on their tables. Great program. In terms of the RAD card, we were probably carrying about a 20% RAD card revenue from Q3 and Q4, or at least Q4 of 2020. I haven't analyzed 2021, but it's been a very strong influential factor in revenue for our business. And then I would say, in addition, we're starting to see activity downtown, but we're seeing our customers excited about the idea of being able to explore different locations, whether it's our restaurant, our friends' restaurants, or shops downtown. And as people are, whether conservatively coming out or been out for a little while, they're starting to be excited about some of the opportunities available. So
okay,
that's my perspective.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Let's see, it looks like that's it from hearing from the public. I'm going to take comments from the council, and I see Council Member Zalaki.
Sorry, my mic on button is over there, and I just turned it off, didn't I? I had it backwards. Thank you. Yeah, this is a project. RADCard has actually been fairly successful. I'm a user of it also, have been for a long time. But my biggest problem is I forget to use a RADCard and just use my credit card because I like coming downtown. I think it's a great place to spend money, as well as other restaurants throughout Modesto. But I do have a problem, and it's a philosophical problem more than it is a dollar problem, because I do not have a problem with what's being offered here with the RAD card. What I have a problem with is we're spending money on a budget and we haven't analyzed what the total project will look like. It's more than just the RAD card. We have, what, $47 million. We don't know exactly what it's going to be. We don't know what the strings are. We don't know how it's going to affect. That's what it's based on. If we're going to pull it out of general fund right now with the intention of taking it out of the other, then we're a little ahead. Now, it doesn't mean it's not insurmountable to, I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk in the mic, and with this thing over, it makes it difficult to breathe and for you to hear me because everyone sounds muffled. And besides, I got screens on the side of me. So I just wrote some notes down here, and I don't, in anticipation of being misunderstood, there are those that will misunderstand me because they don't understand it, and there's others that have an objective goal at doing something without including the entire council. And that's what I'm fearful of, because then everything goes out of control. And I don't want things to go out of control. I'd like just to have a process that is deliberate, debative, and have an option, or have a real coordinated consensus across the entire council. I've lived through councils that have been very debative, and it's not what we need to start this council out as. So I'd like to have us consider at first that we have a strategic plan that was adopted by the city council, and that strategic plan included reaching out to the community of about 600 people. It's done, it's been done. We're working on a plan that actually implements the strategic plan. It's already there. This item could easily, if we took a pencil and spent 5 minutes, we could write it to include it into the strategic plan. We could do that in a very short period of time. We could meet our obligations of disciplining ourselves that we just don't spend money one at a time. So imagine that if every time we wanted to do something, we had to go through this process again. I'd like to get it done. I'd like to get it done completely, or at least initially with projects like RAD, which aren't millions and millions and millions of dollars, and other things like Awesome Spot. Maybe we'd like to do that. We have severe problems in our underlying infrastructure within Modesto. We have streetlights that are high intensity, and we've been working on those for 5 years now. And what happens is the conduits under the streets that run the street light are very high voltage. They crack because they're old and roots break them. And it turns the land, the sand, into glass. It gets so hot. And it's right where kids play. And fortunately, haven't had any serious problems other than whole neighborhoods going blank. That's a strategic plan I would think we could look at. We also have our underlying, we have our Fire Station 1. Those are long-term things, though. We're talking about, we can separate this into short-term things and examine how do we get there. We should be looking at, if we're going to do short-term projects like this, one-time allocations, there may be some others that we should include, and we should just come up with a quick, simple budget, get it into the strategic plan, run it through staff, do it in 30 days, and in 45 days be able to allocate the money. I don't think that's a big ask. I think it's a smart ask. And I said that very succinctly. You heard me what I said, a smart ASK. And we can do that. We can do that as a council and discipline ourselves in the future when we have some things. We don't jump out with something that is an easy target and say, woo, look at us, look what we did. I'd like for us to be able to say completely, look at everything that we're done. We're looking at the entire city, and we have lots of things that can be done in this city, and I'd really like us to have that in this particular, and it's not written anywhere. I'd like it included in the resolution that we put this into the strategic plan. We allocate a budget within the strategic plan for these kinds of projects. It's going to be more than $650,000 plus the change of operations if that's what we want to do. And put in, like I said, I'd like to see Awesome Spot. There was 3 on that committee, and that's about $216,000 a person. We got 4 more to put us in, put that total amount in, and balance it. I mean, it's kind of playing with silliness right now, but you can get the idea. If we start competing against projects, ones that we all like, and some that maybe not all of us are engaged in, we're going to have a problem. So let's just do it right, put it in the strategic plan, give a short-term process for staff to run through and get it in the strategic plan, bring it back, vote on it in 30 days, and then allocate it. So that's part of my thoughts on how to do this. I'm not against it, and if somebody says they are, they're not listening. I'm for it. I think any business person out there has a budget, and there's a lot of you that are reined in on this. You run your business, you have a budget, and do you just go out and spend, or do you look at the plan and say, okay, this fits? And that's what I'm asking. This fits. So thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments from the council?
Yes, Mayor.
All
I
right,
have
yeah.
my hand up. I got my hand up.
No, I just saw it right now. Yes, I was just going to call your name, Councilmember Canoyer.
Okay. I do have, believe me, I'm sure the red card is marvelous for the downtown. I do have a couple of questions. One thing, you can't just walk into any business and use your RAD card unless that business has signed up for the RAD card. Now, what kind of, I'm just not exactly sure what kind of process, these are questions that somebody can answer me. How do you sign up for a RAD card? Out of all the businesses, there's 45, how many businesses are there in this downtown? Because you're going pretty far into on the other side of 9th Street, into, there's businesses down there that are close to Modesto High School and all. So how many actually businesses are there in Modesto, and how many businesses have signed up for the RAD card? Secondly, there's $400,000. So that's all, there's no more money. So there's $400,000 left on the RAD card, and you expect that to be gone? Is everybody using their RAD card, or are there people sitting there? How long has this $400,000 sat there? Finally, what happens when all the money runs out for the RAD card? What happens then? There's no more RAD card. Do they come back to try to find money someplace? Or what happens? Or can they survive? Since they're so used to the RAD card, can they survive without the RAD card? These are questions I would like answered.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jalen, do you happen to have some response? Okay. Yeah, Josh, I'm not sure if you were aware of the questions. If you are, to answer Councilmember Canoyer. We're in the comment section, but we'll go back here.
That's okay. Yeah, if somebody, and maybe it's the downtown people, I'm not opening down. If our staff can't answer it, I think these are questions. I would like to know is there 145 businesses in the downtown square mile of Modesto? And out of that 145, that's a number I'm just picking, how many are only 45 on the RAD card? Then when this money runs out, what happens?
Okay, I will try to answer those questions. How many have signed up? I have heard that 90% of the eligible businesses under the RAD card have signed up for the RAD card.
Which is 45.
45 have signed up, so 90%, that's 50, 55 businesses, let's say, that are eligible. 45 have signed up. The current average burn rate of the funds on RAD cards is $212,000 a month. So there's a little over 400,000. That would be about 2 months if it goes on the current burn rate, the current spend rate. I cannot answer what happens when the money runs out, and will the businesses survive, and then how do the businesses sign up? There is a process through the app, certainly, and they have to go through kind of an eligibility process with the Downtown Modesto Partnership, who ensures they're in the right location, who ensures they're an eligible business. There's a vetting, and then they sign up through the app and they become an eligible business. And I believe that was all the questions that I wrote down.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, any, Councilmember Wright.
The COVID-19 has hit a lot of businesses. We have over 1,000 businesses in Modesto that have been hit hard. We have 480 restaurants in Modesto that have been hard hit. And some of those restaurants have actually done very well, especially the drive-through restaurants that I know of, that I've talked to the owners, have actually been a great year for them because their drive-through has actually really increased because they are drive-through. The federal government has set aside $28 billion for the restaurant industry. Now there's about anywhere from 800,000 to 1 million restaurants in the United States. About 400,000 of those, or maybe a little bit less, are chain restaurants that are not eligible for the $28 billion. You have fast food restaurants that have done very well, so their revenues have stayed up, so they're not eligible. We have states that have not closed down, And we have states that have closed down, like California. So when you shake out all the numbers, you're probably looking close to 400,000 or 500,000 restaurants that are going to be applying for $28.5 billion. If you take that money, that $28.5 billion, and divide it by all the restaurants, you're looking about $60,000, $70,000 per restaurant that is eligible if all those restaurants apply for it. The federal government is letting restaurants recoup 120% of last year's revenues that they've lost compared to 2019. That's a lot of money that can come into the city of Modesto. If you took all of our restaurants and had them apply and help them apply for that $28 billion, that could bring in anywhere from $20 to $30 to $40 million into the local economy here to help not only downtown restaurants, but help all the restaurants and the businesses in the city of Modesto. I was elected to serve the city of Modesto and the residents of the city of Modesto. For the last 30 minutes, you would think that only 45 businesses are in the city of Modesto. And you know what? I use a RAD card. I have money on my RAD card for Turlock. Haven't been over there yet, but I've got some money on it. I ran out of money last week on my RAD card. I'm probably going to reload it. I like it. I come downtown 2 or 3 times a week and eat downtown because I love the restaurants downtown. But I have clients and I have restaurants up the upper part of McHenry that are really struggling. They're not part of the RAD card. And, you know, it's a disadvantage to them because, well, if I can come downtown and buy a $100 RAD card on my app and get an extra $100 RAD free money, why should I eat uptown or in other areas of this community when I can come down and that $100 be $200? Now, if you look, you know, I remember a month or 2 months ago, we talked about the DoorDash. And the council members were concerned about DoorDash making 30% delivery fee. And it was mentioned that restaurants are only making 15% profit once, you know, they pay for the food and pay for all the services that they have to do. And at the end of the night, they made, you know, 15% profit. So if you take the 650,000 and divide it by the 45 restaurants and businesses, most of the RAD card is used on the restaurants. And I tried to get some information on, you know, what was the percentage used on, you know, different businesses, and we weren't able to get that information. But if you take that 15%, for every $100 that is spent on the RAD card, that business or restaurant is going to make $15. That's not very much. So if you took the 650,000 divided by 45, that's about $14,000 per business or per restaurant. And out of that, the profit's going to be about $2,200 when it's all said and done. Wouldn't we be better off taking the 650,000 and just divide it by 45 and give them all a check for 14,000? Or better yet, why don't we take a portion of that money? Opportunity Status Clause, this morning at 10 o'clock, they had a meeting with restaurant partners throughout the city of Modesto, showing them exactly how to file their SBA loan for the $28.5 billion so they can recoup maybe 100,000, 150,000. I'd be more apt to saying, let's take a portion of the 650,000 and let's help every restaurant, not just downtown. Let's help every restaurant in this area. Let's get in contact with them, or let either the chamber or Opportunity Stanislaus help them get in contact so they can fill out the paperwork so that all restaurants in Modesto can recoup. So, you know, I use the RAD card. I'm not against the RAD card. I'm just here, we represent everybody in Modesto. And for us to look at just a small handful of businesses, I just have a problem that it's really disgenuine to other businesses that are throughout the city of Modesto. So I think, like Councilman Zalaki said, it needs to go through our strategic plan and maybe look at what we can do to help all the businesses in Modesto recoup from the losses that they've had.
Thank you. Councilmember Ricky?
If Josh Brygram's still on, Josh, are you still on? Can I ask you? One of the things that was brought up is that the RAD card wasn't allowed to be used anywhere but downtown. My understanding was that we were looking at doing this for letting all the businesses in Modesto sign up for this. That's correct, right, Josh? I think Edgar I think that he's, I don't know, at least on my thing, it looks like his hand is raised. In the attendee box on the Zoom, I see his hand raised.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so this program was initially created through donors who were specific about using the funds for downtown Modesto. It was intended to be district specific. And then the county said, hey, we want to do this county-wide, and we were willing to accommodate that. I mentioned, I think during the EDC committee, at least I intended to, for sure, that we would be more than happy to deploy this program citywide if it's the will of the city council. We have no issue with that whatsoever. We've already done it countywide, so doing it citywide is a much smaller geographic area. But you know, it is a program that has continued to benefit downtown businesses, and there's no reason why it can't benefit other businesses throughout the city.
So Josh, you're obviously pretty familiar with this this program that Dave's talking about. Do you know anything about it? Can you explain from downtown business perspective what it's all about, what it means?
Are you talking about the restaurant?
Yeah, from a restaurant. Do you know anything about this restaurant stimulus money?
Yeah. I mean, there's a big chunk of money, and it sounds like a lot, but I think as Dave was Councilmember was mentioning, it is a lot of funds that are specific to restaurants only. And when you look at the number of restaurants, I think he mentioned around 700,000. He's accurate in that. There's a maximum of $5 million rather. It's available per restaurant in the nation. When you do the math on that, it ends up being $40,000 per restaurant that's available. That is a number that is worthy of consideration, but it is again only specified to cover expenditures that were lost. It has lost revenue to cover expenses only, or operational expenses. So it's not going to, as I mentioned in my presentation, it's not going to address the need for ongoing a shot in the arm and ongoing revenue for operations from this point forward. It's only going to address lost revenue. So think of it this way: if you borrowed money on your credit card to cover your expenses, and then the federal government say, hey, here's a bunch of money that you can use to pay that off. That's what it does. But when you're in the middle of a pandemic and maybe you're 3/4 of the way through, or 75% of the way, 80% of the way through, and you're moving through the next few months with uncertainty, you need revenue, and businesses need revenue to drive profit. And I also want to point out that the 15% that was mentioned with regard to profit is an inaccurate number, because while that may be the profit margin in general for these businesses, it's important to point out that the stimulus packages that are coming in from the federal government to aid these businesses is only aimed at expenses. So there is no portion of those that is driven toward profit, and for-profit businesses don't stay in business if they're not making profit.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Ricky, did you have any further comments?
Yeah, just briefly here. I just think that Modesto's, as a government, we've just always kind of had a problem in that we focus on ourselves so inwardly and so just very, very directly insight on what we're doing as a government that sometimes we have a tendency to not focus on our people enough and focus on our businesses enough. And so like when I look at like, you know, strategically critical programs, like when you look at when the Gala Center was built, you know, the county put money into it, made it happen, and it has been the best investment that this county has made maybe ever in terms of downtown development. It was absolutely the most impactful thing we've ever done. City of Modesto invested basically nothing. This is another thing. We all want to have a vibrant downtown. We got a bunch of downtown businesses, a lot of really good people that we all know, saying this is something that we need to do to keep our downtown businesses vibrant.
All right, thanks.
We're not sure, so I think it's something that we should try to, we're not going out on a limb here. We got federal money that's designed specifically to help businesses, and it's coming, so.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Escudia Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do feel that the RAD card is a unique and innovative approach to helping our downtown businesses. I do understand. Can you hear me? Can you hear me better? Okie dokie. Normally I speak too loud. I do feel that, as Mr. Bridegroom indicated, there is an opportunity for expansion so that we can be inclusive of all businesses in Modesto. So that's an opportunity and an avenue that I think it's worth exploring. I do, however, as has been indicated by Mr. Bridegroom as well, and I agree in my eyes that downtown business is the heart of any economy, and our economy is no different. So helping our downtown economy is helping the Modesto economy. I also strongly feel that this will be in keeping with the guidelines coming out and will be reimbursable. So I think it would be a good idea to support it either tonight in a motion of approval or support it in, as Councilmember Solosky said, incorporating it into our strategic budget. One way or the other, I would like to see it supported. Thank you.
All right, I'll just make some comments that I've had, a lot of thoughts about this. Supporting a vibrant downtown is extremely important, and everything that everyone mentioned, I obviously 100% support. I doubt there's anyone here that does not. That it's easy to use, that it's efficient, that it benefits people directly and business owners as well as consumers. There was a lot of different potential options mentioned tonight that even sounded promising as far as going citywide. The concerns I have, these are statements, was that it was brought to the committee prior to knowing the answers to all the questions that were proposed this evening, and actually before even deciding on the process of how to best disperse the American Rescue Plan funds. So really my only issue is that I feel like the timing as of in this moment is somewhat off, we do not know what with 100% assurity that it may be filled, that it will be filled with rescue plan dollars. So I just have to ask myself, am I ready to pay for this out of reserves, considering our current budget situation and you know, having that be our funding source? I would feel more comfortable approving it contingent upon knowing for surety that we have the rescue plan dollars to spend towards what seems to be a logical way to spend them that benefits people so directly. But it was mentioned about citywide, and that sounds very promising also. I'm not sure if there's a way that we can, you know, I don't want to say delay it because I know no one wants to hear that word, but postpone it until I can be 100% sure that rescue plan dollars will fill it, because we are all operating under that assumption when we say we approve it. It's just, that's the assumption. We just don't know that yet. And I think that it may just be a few weeks even, and we will have more direction from the federal government. So that's where I'm at with this. I don't know if there is, all right.
I had my hand raised.
I know, I was still speaking. So I'm okay with a motion that would consider that, so that we can make this very successful program be successful with the surety. I just don't hear that confidently from anyone. And Jalen is standing at the podium, so maybe he's ready to.
No.
I thought maybe he was ready to address something. Did you just get a text from Washington, D.C. that says that this
I wish. No, just ready
right.
if there are any questions.
That's what I'm hoping for. All right. So, Council Member Madrigal, I see a big smile on your face on your picture.
Yeah, that's why I chose that photo. I like it better than the other one. So when it comes to narrowing down the timeline, and I think you're right, Madam Mayor, I think we're talking about weeks. If we're looking, I don't know if this question is for Josh or Jalen, just to help shed more light on this. If we're looking at an approximate burn rate of, I mean, I guess I'm talking about looking at the calendar. If we're talking about a burn rate of $212,000 a month approximately, given that there's roughly $400,000 plus left on people's existing RAD cards out there, your estimation, what is this gonna put us at? I mean, today is today's April the 6th. So what are we looking at? Are we looking at knowing by May 6th? By staff saying knowing by end of May? How does that intersect with the timeline for potentially running out of money and us knowing?
Yeah. So the current
I don't know, are you just going to divide?
Jalen's ready to respond.
400,000 divided by 212,000 equals X number of weeks. Like what do we do?
Yeah, so the current burn rate would appear to put us sometime in mid to late May, which aligns with the latest date that we expect to receive further guidance on the rescue plan funding. It may be sooner in terms of the guidance, or it could be what they've indicated to us, that it would come out when we receive the first tranche of money. So the two issues appear to be relatively aligned. Of course, you can't predict burn rate now that restaurants are open, but they seem to be aligned.
So how can I ask you this? How often does city staff communicate with our federal lobbyists to get answers to these questions? How regularly do y'all communicate?
We are in communication with them very frequently, and in fact, we were in communication with them today on this as well.
I have another comment I would like to make also.
So yeah, I just wanted to ask Madam Mayor, I mean, would it be possible to get daily updates from staff, from our federal lobbyists, if possible, if you, or as frequently as staff gets updates from our federal lobbyists, that they immediately be trickled down to us at the council level?
I think I can respond to that. That I don't think there's any of us that are going to delay for half a second when we find out from the federal government how the American Rescue Plan funds can be spent. So I think the notion that we would delay in any way is completely false. As I mentioned, I felt like this was brought to the committee prior to knowing the answers to these questions. And I'll just say this.